Happy Friday! Welcome to our Friday Witchy Hangout. We do this every single Friday. We ask a juicy question of the universe. We blend our energies. We get to hang out some. It's generally a good time. So if you like this, then you can join us next Friday or whenever you want to or not. It's totally fine. Welcome. Today we have a juicy reading about your next relationship. I'm called to say that I do feel some new energy kind of coming in to a lot of your spaces, and so that's why I wanted to do this reading. So we'll take a peek under the hood and see what is coming in. And just to let you know, we are launching our fall candles today, for those of you that haven't already heard, because we did launch it on Patreon, and so we'll get all of that ready so that we can do that later, because I'm just realizing that we forgot to actually pull the candle examples up here, but we'll do that. We'll do that later. Okay, so getting into my lipstick is a little bit dark. Okay, sorry. I always am so nervous here at the beginning. I promise my energy peters out if that's like a bother to anybody. And also, by the way, the jokes in the chat, the knock jokes and things, like, it's hilarious. This is so funny. Okay, so let's get into today's reading, your next relationship. We do have an anchor card for this one. The anchor card is it's not a pile. It is a common energy that goes into all the piles. And today we have Gnosis. And if it matters to you, in this deck, there's like different categories of the cards. And this is like the, it's not called the alchemy. It's it's in the like initiation section. So it could be like some type of initiation, like this new relationship is an initiation into something, or it comes after an initiation. So that's just another thing to kind of keep in mind. But take a look at the imagery. Take a look at the immediate like kind of hit or like emotional hit that you get. And this card might come to your mind at some point during a pile, and it will just kind of reconnect with this energy or not. Just take this however it resonates. So, okay. Now I'll put up the piles there. We've got 3 piles as per usual, and pile 1 is the Orphan, pile 2 is the Shadow, and pile 3 is the Medallion. So I'll put those up there, and just keep in mind that the anchor card up at the top is not a choice, and whenever you're ready, just close your eyes and allow your energy to drop beneath the hustle and the bustle, and just take a moment in silence for yourself here. And whenever you're ready, you can open up and take a look at the cards, be drawn into whatever pile or multiple piles you are drawn to. I'll leave this up here for just another second. Give you a moment here. And when you're ready, I'm ready. Let's do it. Pile number 1, the Orphan. Who is coming in to your life? Who is your next relationship? I feel like this person's like a little bit nervous. I just heard they're nervous to be loved. Ooh, okay. Energy. I feel like this person is frustrated. There's a sense of like inner frustration. This is a really good person though, like a very kind, very nice person. I just heard kind eyes. I feel like they have very kind eyes. But the word weathered is coming through. I feel like this person feels a little battered and broken and beaten. And I hope that that's not like literal. I hope that that's more like, metaphorical for this person's sake. But I feel like this person has gone through depression. It's not necessarily the dark night of the soul. I do feel like, there's shadow energy here. But when you meet this person, I feel like they will be kind of actually in the middle of a depression, but you might not be able to tell. I feel like this person's trying to put a brave face on it. There's kind of like blue collar energy, coming through, like the everyman. Like the common man, salt of the earth kind of guy, kind of person, battle weary. And even like as I'm describing him like this, and I do feel like this is a him for this group, although take this however it resonates, but this feels strongly like I just heard him. So, and I just heard hee-haw. So I feel like maybe for some, there's like, maybe this person lives on a farm or likes horses or something like that. I'm hearing that song. It's like, living in the new world with an old soul. The Richmond, North, the Richmond. Yeah, okay. So it's giving very salt to the earth, and it is giving very like blue collar. But as I'm describing this person this way, I feel like their energy kind of just like perking up a little bit, like their eyes, because I feel like I'm describing their energy, but I'm describing it kind of like in a positive way, because I feel like this person really has been demonized. I'm hearing like wicked. And I feel like it's strongly coming, like they feel really misunderstood. I don't think this person has the language for the things that they feel. You know, that's what I'm picking up on. There's a frustration, there's a sadness, there's a weariness. They feel really misunderstood. And I think this a lot comes from a long-term relationship that they had with a partner. And I do feel like there's a child here. And this person might even be like kept away from their child in some way. It might be physically, it might be emotionally, but they feel like restricted when it comes to their child. And I think that they may have even been like demonized, but I feel like there's a misunderstanding of this person's kind of gruff energy. And the misunderstanding isn't necessarily only in the external world. I think they misunderstand their own energy, because this person does have a frustration. And that song that I was picking up on, living in a new world, you might want to listen to it. It is a bit political. And I feel like this person is, but like they're not political in their mind. Like this person hasn't read Marx or anything. They haven't read philosophers. But I'm not stupid, they just said. And they're not stupid. And I feel like maybe they have this chip on their shoulder about that. This person is actually like very intelligent, and they're looking for the answers. And that's part of where the frustration comes from, because part of that song says like, I've been working all hours, working all day for bullshit hours, for bullshit pay. Yeah, and it's like, to work my life away. It's like really painful energy. It's like, I work all the time for bullshit pay. All of this is meaningless. All of this is stupid. And I feel like this is actually, they're in a gruff place. They're in a depressed place. And I just heard you recognize it. There's some part of your soul. Oh, I just got goosebumps. And this comes from a masculine life. Like, I think you actually do kind of, you won't recognize it in this lifetime for what it is. Like the face of it looks much different than what it actually is, because I think for some of you, you might think this isn't my type of person. You know, this is, and I think even politically, they might believe something like very opposite that what you do, but your souls are very much the same. It's just this person's frustration. They're like right on the cusp of, this person doesn't understand systems. Like they don't understand that we exist within systems, social systems, economic systems, and like this intersection of expectations. They feel the expectations very acutely, but they haven't looked up. I actually feel like this person's very wrapped up in culture war stuff, and the only true war is the class war. Please take that with you, because the culture war stuff has us pointing the finger like at other plebs, for whatever reason, because you're brown, or because you work this kind of job, or because you sound like that. But we point it at other plebs, or we point down at people that are doing less because that feels safe, instead of looking up, looking at what actually has the power. And actually, as I did that, I saw this person with tears in their eyes, and it was like, whoa. And it was like a liberating experience. And this person's like waiting for that. And I actually feel like it feels internal, it feels emotional, it feels like somebody giving a name to like what it is that they are like feeling or experiencing, because they don't understand like that there are certain systems that we are in that they're bigger than humans, they're bigger than just us, and we don't get to choose whether or not we participate. You're just there. And that's the frustration that this person's feeling. And it reminds me of that like Walt Whitman, I think it was Walt Whitman that said, or no, it's not, but there's a Mark Twain maybe said this, the example of like the glass jar with the ants. So if you have like a glass jar and you put black ants in there and then you put red ants in there, if you leave it alone, they'll get along just fine. But if you start shaking it, they start attacking each other because they think the problem is each other. That's what I'm saying. The culture war stuff. They're like pointing the finger at like the plebs, instead of looking up and saying, that bitch is shaking this jar and you need to leave us alone. And going back to, I've been working all day for bullshit hours, for bullshit pay. Like that whole thing, it's like, they don't know where that comes from, and they're so frustrated. But there's also a verse in that I don't really like, and it's like, Lord knows if you're 5'3" and 800 pounds, taxes ought to not pay for your bag of fudge rounds. And personally, I'm like, why are you micromanaging what someone's eating? Like, this is a little bit of a tangent, but it's like in America, the smoking companies that had a lot of information on addiction, when smoking started to be like regulated, they got into the food industry, and then they started to make our food in America very processed and very addictive. And instead of, this person is stuck and they're frustrated and they are a fighter for like good, but like this person needs to be like, stop fucking with us. Stop putting weird shit in our food. But instead they'll be like, stop buying that. We should make it to where this person doesn't buy that. They don't think to like the next level up. And it's not because they're not capable, but they don't think like systemically, this person. And I think that might throw you off of this person's scent at first. Or I think I'm meant to kind of clue you in, like, this is a good soul. And but you might not get that. They also might be kind of quiet or kind of reserved or kind of like gruff. And I actually think this person, no, they're kind of like quieter. But their energy is different whenever they're like kind of feeling happy. And I feel like also, this is funny because I'm getting like a calmness or something, but I feel like this person, I think they have an ex that is not a good person. I think they're very manipulative, but I think that there's something about this person's belief systems that tied them in with whatever their karmic ex is. This person very much has a karmic ex, and this karmic ex, I think, embodied or embodies, but it's from a very superficial place, whatever traditional values this person has or whatever they were told to kind of look for as like virtue signaling. And this ex doesn't actually embody that. And I think that they're living that out in real time, that this person doesn't actually, oh my gosh, I feel like I want to cry. Like this person is like crying. They are angry, and anger feels like almost the only emotion that this person can access, or like frustration. And so this ex though, like and I don't know what the ex's deal is. I'm not going to tap into that energy because again, there might be a match for each other in that way where there's a frustration. I kind of feel that. I feel like this ex, maybe there's a frustration in their soul that they can't be who they want and be admired or get what they want. And so they do have this maneuvering energy, and they were trying, I feel this is with both of them, where they wanted to appear a certain way to their peers. And this doesn't have, I'm really getting that these are not people who are like eating hors d'oeuvres, like on a yacht somewhere. These are like, I want to look my blue collar values. This is what I find to be superior. And somebody here like kind of signaled that, but they signaled something else. They signaled a delicacy that this person doesn't have naturally. But what's ironic is that this person was drawn into this ex actually because of their strength. But the strength that this ex has, and it might have been mirrored in this person, it comes from a cruelty, like where this ex wants to control things. And I don't think that they recognize that this person is like controlling because they don't want to be found out. So everything has to be kind of like just so, because if it goes with the flow, or that's why they like the traditional systems and stuff, it becomes this checklist. That's why this person kind of has to overcome that in order to like connect with you and to like connect with soulmate energy and healing and freedom, which this soul definitely wants. Because I'm just getting like this bright light living in the shade. Your cold heart makes my spirit shake. I feel like this person was like around somebody for a long time where it's like, your cold heart makes my spirit shake. This person has like a cold heart. But they didn't recognize it as that, because I think whoever they're around is more feminine and societal. This person doesn't understand the way that I'm speaking. Societally, they don't understand. This person struggles to put things in context, things that are social and things that are emotional in context. And I feel like that's kind of where you come in. Like, you're good at it. And I think that you might not realize that this is kind of a match made in heaven, actually. This person's gruff, and I feel like they're actually very protective, but they have like a soft inner self. And I think it's because they always felt like a black sheep. And again, I heard another song, and it's kind of that same masculine folky vibe, but it's like, Jesus loves you, black sheep. And, I feel like this person just felt like a black sheep because they're with the wrong person and have been for a while. And so it's like, they're very far from their authentic self just because they were trying to push themselves into a shoe. And everybody around was like, you should fit yourself into the shoe. That's what good people do. That's what holy people do. Nobody wants to know what you think genuinely. And so in a way, this person was disincentivized to actually like reading certain things, like certain books and stuff. So they're very confused about their frustration, and they don't know how to, like I said, put people, places, and things in context in order to understand the root cause. I actually feel like the root cause that this person doesn't understand is up and out, like up and out, not like, and somehow going up and out, like it's going to connect them to their emotions, where it's like, this is manufactured. Like, of course I feel this way. How could you feel any other way? Like, but yeah, oh my gosh, initiation, like, and then gnosis, because gnosis is like knowledge, but it's experiential, deep knowing. And I think that you are like a baptism for this person is what I'm getting. Like, like where this person kind of like gets dunked into water, but it's not victim, rescue, or persecutor. And I think that it's going to start off kind of very maybe limited, contact or limited, like not very much words like between the two of you, because this person doesn't, I don't know, think too much. And also they're in this like kind of depressive state, and I think they're very woe is me, and it's like they're kind of wrapped up in like whatever is going on. But you are a bright light to this person, and they notice that they always kind of feel better. I think this person's actually very sensitive and very psychic and very intuitive, but they're a man, and so they don't have any concept of that. They were not told to be sensitive or to be receptive. And so they kind of get gunked up, and they're gunked up, and they sense that like you are bright and you're happy and you're light, and they like that. I just heard your revelation. And that's kind of, that's a nod to revelations in the Bible. It's kind of giving like Christian or like, fundamental, but this person, they're not like a scholar of that. I don't think this is somebody that like goes to Bible study or something like that, but it's like, they are very salt of the earth is the way that I want to describe it. It's like very the good earth, they kind of stick by the earth. They don't like it when things get too fancy or too flowery. And even hearing me say words like systemic, or this person to be like, whoa, okay? Like, stop trying to confuse my mind. But I think if you just have a very, your human way, like sharing your human experience or your human thoughts, I think it's very comforting. And this person is actually very protective, just kind of naturally. And they have a softness that they really only let you see, or like the people that are very close to them. And I feel like they were weakened in this other relationship. It's like they let the wrong person in. And yeah, because this person was like a snake. And they let the wrong person in, and then that snake kind of just wreaked a bunch of havoc in there. And so they're scared of their emotions, and they don't know how to heal and everything. But I think you might have healthy snake energy where it feels very transformative. The things that you say, I think, are very transformative and supportive. There might be a connection with music here as well, or there could be a certain song. Look, and I've been getting songs. Jesus loves you, black sheep. Also, that song, it's called Black Sheep. I can't remember who sings it, but I think it's a song about addiction, or like, yeah. I think it is like somebody like recovering for addiction. It was either them or it was like their parent or somebody close to them. I can't remember. So this person could have struggled with that. And if they haven't struggled with it themselves, I feel like it's something that's like kind of been around them. They've seen actually a lot of carnage in their community. But again, like this person loves their community. There's a love here. This is a very masculine form of love, and they are a fighter for it. They just don't know what to fight. And so they keep fighting the people that they should be teamed up with and that they should be protecting, that they should actually be able to see themselves in and their humanity in. I also feel like this person does regurgitate things from approved sources. I just saw like a banned books list. Like this is a person who will adhere to a banned books list. That somebody says, we don't read those books. And then they really don't. Oh yeah. I just heard Adamam Dayamin, which I'm from a place called Jackson County, Missouri, or as the Mormons like to call it, Adamam Dayamin. And that's like they believe it's like actually the Garden of Eden from the Bible. And I've been thinking about that a lot because of the things that are going on in our world. And I was like, good Lord, if the conditions were right, they would have done like what's happening in Gaza, like probably to us. Like it just gives me the creeps, And so I just feel like, I don't know, I've been like kind of unpacking that, where it's like they are told specifically not to listen to non-Mormons, that people who are non-Mormon have nothing to teach them. And that in that kind of thing over time, like it sets the stage of like, nobody can get through. Like nobody can tell you like, remember your humanity, because their religion says, well, this is yours. And, whatever. So I feel like there's something like that with this person, and they are able to be weaponized by the dark, or hijacked or thrown off course by the dark, because this person with their mind won't adventure. This person with their mind won't explore, because they think a certain way about that. They put people into categories, and they wouldn't do that if they learned about the things that they have an interest in, because I think this person may have an interest in politics, or they have an interest in religion, or they have an interest in like philosophy and psychology, and they have an interest in people, because this person's like very soft and very loving in their soul, but it's just been so abused and bullied. But this person doesn't think of themselves as being abused and bullied, and I think maybe they have been accused of bullying and abusing. I think this person has like hurt people, maybe even like to get with this karmic or for this karmic. I feel like this karmic from the past would have absolutely zero trouble winding this person up, pointing them in a direction and say, defend my honor. But really what it is go abuse that person. And this person would just do it. And so they might have actually burned a lot of bridges for this karmic, and nobody has their back. Like this karmic they're very clever. This person gets outmaneuvered in the cleverness. And again, I think that's where you come in, where you can just say Yeah, she's saying, please defend me, but you need to hear what's actually going on. You need to make up your own mind because you're driving people and your allies away from you. People actually care for you. Why do you allow, this person allows this karmic or like whatever to filter their reality and their existence? Why not you make up your mind? And this person thinks they do make up their own mind, but they don't realize that. And it's just because they're a soldier, they're a good little soldier for like whatever has been like, I'm just hearing like wah, 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 like in their brain since they were a child. And I think we've all been there, to be honest. I feel like you recognize this. I feel like you resonate with it so much on some deep level. And I think it's actually coming from a masculine life that you had in the past, where you felt exactly like this person or you were wrapped up in this too. And it feels very loving between the two of you. I'm seeing your masculine side, like actually reaching out and like pulling him up because you see yourself in him. But again, you might not see yourself in him in this place. And I think actually, again, it might like really turn you off, or like you really want to kind of fight against it because you've already been through the process where you understand that's kind of the thing that we need to, that's not allowed. You can't be that way because then you become a foot soldier for people who are trying to like take advantage of other people. And we can't have that. Okay. Like you are of us and so be of us. Like, you know, you love us, so love us. You want to protect us, so protect us. Like, and this person's all like confused and jumbled in that. Yeah, I feel like this person had a rough time of it as a child. They were very confused. They might also have had a very protective mother or a mother that there's an energy about the women, the significant women in this person's life, the mother, the karmic, where they blockade like around this person. I'm kind of getting that like with they blockade like around them to where they couldn't get the resources that they needed. And I think maybe part of that was love as well too. So like they could have kept them from people because everybody's an enemy until the mom says otherwise. And so I think this person, they got very used to looking towards somebody else to see whether or not something was okay to do or like, is this an okay person instead of like following their heart? Because I'm seeing them actually really love. I just heard like an aunt or an uncle or something around them. They really loved that person, like who was more like you. It was more of like a freedom energy or something. And they would love that person like naturally, but then around this mother figure, they had to clam it up because the mom didn't like them because they were a threat to the mom's control. This person, that was Luna, emotions. The mother is like very emotional. These women are very emotional, but it's in this controlling kind of way. I think this person taps into that, like feeling sorry for these people. And like these people also, the women around have blamed externals for their internal state. Instead of saying, and it might even be like a type of anxiety or something, or that's like the only way that they can, you know, for the longest time, I heard this like from somewhere. It was like for the longest time, the only issue that women were allowed to claim was like hysteria, you know, like, oh, my nerves, like, you know, so I think this person maybe does have an anxiety, but I think there's something else going on here because it's like very antisocial and it's very controlling. It's kind of dark triad. It's very controlling, very manipulative. They don't want to own up to that though. That's not feminine and they're not allowed to say that. And they know that they need to kind of maintain control. So they just, they label people enemies that are actually good and helpful, that would actually heal and free somebody from their control. And they should. Like I'm seeing spirit try to pry somebody, this child, like kind of out of their hands, maybe even literally. Somebody could have tried to take this person away because maybe mom was on drugs, she feels emotionally unstable. You know, but that's just, you're not like, I don't know. So he sees her as a victim and he doesn't see that she is controlling and she's like, there's a restriction of nutrients here, like, but it feels like the nutrients are knowledge and it feels like any knowledge that would set him free from her, you know, and what that might make him say like, I understand that you've been through a lot and I love you and I don't want you to suffer, but do you not understand that like the way that you are in the world brings a lot of this on yourself? Yeah. Okay. There's another thing here, like with cycles. And I think you somehow tie into this too, where, because I think you're a very strong person and maybe he is too. But maybe not, actually. I don't know, because he feels kind of cuspy to me. But it's like, I think you have like a lot of inner strength. And you're willing to stand on your own. You can... The poem If really comes to mind, actually, for both of you by Kipling. I love that poem so much. But it's like, if you can keep your head when all around you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. Like, and it just kind of keeps going on and on. If you can manage this, and it's all kind of about balance, you know? Finding that like fine touch with a balance. Like, you know, kind of, then you're going to be all right. I think at the end it says like, then you can, and what's more, you're a man, my son, or something. And I remember reading that as a kid and being like, I wanted that to be for me, you know, like that poem. But I think that I don't know, there's some type of nutrient that you kind of bring in of this kind of balanced perspective. And I think in a way I just heard the worst enemy, or like the worst fear of like the mom. But this mom and like the karmic kind of prove that you can't be in charge of your own healing sometimes, like, because sometimes people are like afraid of healing because they're in like a groove. They maintain control or whatever, and that's all they want. They feel comfortable because they're in the control position. They don't realize that it's actually hurting them and it's hurting other people and it's holding everybody back. And I feel like you're bringing some type of light or some type of energy into this, but without even knowing it, you know? And I think that he'll start to, I'm seeing him kind of disentangle from that situation because there's so much darkness and he's so wrapped up by like controls and puppet strings and things like that. And he's kind of like starting to notice you more and more, how he feels around you more and more. He likes that more and more. Until that just becomes his world is kind of what I'm getting. That just becomes his, where he would prefer to look because he's just so wrapped up in this. And he doesn't know how to get out of it because he doesn't understand the underpinnings. He doesn't understand the concepts. Concepts are big for this person. Being able to label things, being able to label their emotions. You will get kickback from him. You'll get pushback where he thinks that he's being loyal to an ideology, but it's the brainwashing. There's a lot of brainwashing here. And he feels that if he goes against his mom or like this karmic or something, if he says that the women in his life aren't the victims that they portray themselves as being, that he tried everything that he could. And he might have a dad that is a real bastard, you know, or something. He might have seen that around him, but he's not that. He's really not. But he takes it on and he's become their scapegoat or something. And so he's got to break free. And part of breaking free is realizing you need help. And, you know, it's beyond me. And like you keep telling me that I'm things that I'm not. And I feel like he might struggle with that with you because I think you tell him things that he is. I think that whatever your criticisms are of this guy, I think is real. And, but he'll push back with you because he's believed this like false version of himself for so long that he's like very indoctrinated in, but you have an energy, like it feels genuine soulmate energy. It feels like you are genuine. Whereas I'm hearing the word holy, and I feel like he has labeled this ex holy because she pretends a belief system that he was brainwashed into. And so he was taught a proxy for these things. He was taught if somebody has this belief or that belief, if they do this thing or that thing, then it's good and then it's holy. Instead of, why don't you just see how somebody feels around you? Does it feel like goodness to you? Does it feel like they reflect the light of God? Whether you can put your finger on how or why or what blend of traits. He wasn't taught that. He was taught to override his feelings and to just go with the indoctrination, whatever it is. And I do feel that religion, I'm strongly in Christianity here, that was a part of it. So as long as this ex will drag her nasty ass into a pew, he will think she is holy. And when you tell him that maybe he should love people that are not Christian, in the same way he loves Christians, which by the way is what Jesus said. You know, when you actually kind of reflect those things back that pierce through the brainwashing, he will push back on you and call you a bunch of names. This is very much like the drunk tank or something. You know, if somebody, and it's dangerous, this is kind of a dangerous time for him as a soul and on an emotional level where it's like he's got to go to rehab and he's got to dry out. Maybe for some of you that's literal. And this kind of sounds funny because, but if you grew up Christian or if you grew up in a very traditional religious, it won't surprise you at all because a lot of these people, they're very hypocritical and they live very hypocritical lives. And don't you dare point it out either, you know, but they will be alcoholics or they will, you know, beat up on their families or something. And yet they are viewed as being pillars of the community because they believe this like particular thing and they will say that, you know. And so they're given endless elasticity and they're given endless forgiveness. But somebody like you who is actually genuinely trying to be a good person, even if you don't put it in those terms or something, or even if you do, but you just have a different way that you kind of relate to it, you know, then I feel like it's really weird, arbitrary stuff that he kind of like zeroes in on, hones in on, but he was taught to do that. And it has to do with whoever the mom is, so that he would look at the mom as like the pillar or the pinnacle. And that sucks because the mom is not healthy. And this environment is not healthy and people have to numb out and people have like, they are in so much pain. And, you know, they say trauma. Tim Fletcher says that trauma, I like his definition of this. I'm sure other people say it too, but he said, you know, trauma is something in a family system. It's pain that a family doesn't know how to deal with. And I feel like you know how to deal with it. I feel like on some level, you know how to deal with it. And I don't think that you even realize necessarily that you're teaching certain things. I just think that when you're like, you reflect back to him, like his frustration and you actually get to the root of it. And I think, he may try to just put something that you said into action and it'll actually work. Whereas he's been following the edicts and the doctrines of, it feels like women in his life that are tyrannical about some way that he should be, but it's just because they're very controlling. He doesn't recognize it as control. He thinks they're feminine and therefore they're delicate and they could never be controlling, but they're the strongest thing in the room by a mile, by a long shot. And he is living that out, or has lived that out to the point of his own detriment. And I feel like that's his path, and he's really scuffed up. He really is. He hasn't woken up to the fact like that is the enemy. I was in bed with the enemy like this whole time. And there's a sense of like wanting or needing to rely on somebody that's unreliable, and relying on them for nurturance and for care and for support, and they're unreliable. They're not fit to do that, but he has no other choice and he doesn't know any other way, and he's so lost. And I feel like that's why with you, when you say these words, when you say you're feeling frustrated, because he just feels anger and he feels pissed off and stuff, but like you're saying you're frustrated, and you're feeling diminished and you're feeling restricted, that you can't express yourself or that you can't express your emotions or be all that you can be without it being labeled something. Because I feel like that's what it was for him, is that whenever he with mom is really deeply emotionally unhealthy and also emotionally uncaring, but he doesn't recognize that because he can't recognize that, maybe because dad left. The other parent here, or dad was addicted or something. The other parent here is so out of commission that it's really scary for a child to look at the other parent in an honest fashion. I really feel like that's what was kind of going on here. And I just heard it again. Jesus loves you, black sheep. And be very delicate around religion is what I want to say, because, in my own way, I believe in Jesus still. Like, I was raised Christian and I still connect with like that. Jesus is in his heart. Like, Jesus is working with this guy. Like, Jesus is very real. So I think that's what he has to learn about you, is that you're not criticizing Jesus. You're not saying that Jesus doesn't exist or that Jesus isn't real or that Jesus doesn't walk with him, love him, care for him, forgive him. You're criticizing the culture, the bullshit culture that has been created by humans that are not Jesus in this long-winded game of telephone, and that people that Jesus had to come and die for are unreliable. They're unreliable narrators, and also these women figures in his life, they are distorting the truth out of their mouths in order for them not to be seen as what they really are, so that they're not pushed back upon, criticized, held accountable. And that this can be what that energy looks like. I think he thinks if it wears a skirt and if it speaks, and if it sits its nasty ass in a pew and quotes scripture or something, that it is holy. And he's got to actually relate to what's in front of him, what's really in front of him, instead of these labels and the categories that the brainwashing has really kind of put upon him. But Jesus is fundamental here. I genuinely feel that. Or I'm really getting this as Christian, actually. So I don't know if you're from if you're Muslim or something, then this could be like, there might be cultural issues here. And yeah, for some of you, this person may, I don't know, they'll never, they love Jesus, but I think something about maybe whatever religion you are, it actually puts those teachings in a better perspective. And I think you've had that experience too, where, I don't know, for me, it's like, I studied religion in school, which was an academic study of religion. And so it wasn't you didn't learn about these other religions in a worshipful sense, and you learned about it from a scholar, not from an imam or somebody with an agenda, who believed a certain way. And back in the day, I think it's changed a little bit, but back in the day, religious studies professors, they held themselves to such high account if you couldn't tell what religion they were. That was a kind of a thing. And I had an old school professor that led the program, and everybody always was trying to guess what religion she was, and nobody could ever really guess. And I think I know what it was, but I'm not even going to say it out loud just out of respect. But yeah. And I think that you have had that experience where you've learned about another culture in some way that was neutral, wasn't forced upon you. And you had that realization, all the world's religions are saying the same thing, because God is huge and creative. God loves diversity. And all of it is guided through love. And, God is in all of us. And so God is in all of these religions, too. And that a lot of religions are distorted. And if you know a lot of the teachings from a lot of places, you can you get to know the heart of God. For somehow that's better for you. And I think some of you have had that experience where you've listened to somebody else talk about their faith. Maybe they're a Hindu, maybe they're something. And it actually helped to helped you to see your own beliefs in a different light. And you saw that person as a friend to you, a spiritual friend, even though like you were taught to disagree with people who don't come from your religion, because it's just a matter of like, we are all the same. We are all the same. We are all the same. But then somebody who is not the same invested in your spiritual journey. And you said, brother, sister. And you could see that. That's what I'm saying. This person, if you don't call yourself a Christian and sit in the third pew, they can't see who you really are. They'll just shut you off. They need to learn how to not do that. And then this person will progress like very quickly. They need to learn how to just be like alive. So I feel like this person they're a really good person, and they're very like kind of gruff. I'm seeing somebody that wears like blue jeans. They're very simple, like this person, and very salt of the earth. But again, like there's a lot of things that this person isn't. I keep hearing the word misunderstood. And because of that, because this person's been so misunderstood in their energy, they don't know where they belong, and they kind of suck up the wrong information around the wrong people, trying to find where they belong. And it's because they won't go inside. And I think that they're just really misunderstood, and it causes this like frustration, and they're right on the cusp of like being able to kind of evolve out of this level of consciousness. And I think that you're the bridge to that. Because you are all the things that they thought they were, and that they thought their mom was, and that they thought their ex was. You embody those values in a real way. Where this person, I think, was like, I'm torn because I'm taught that like you are loving, but I never feel that way around you. I always feel scared. I think that's what it is, or threatened. I always feel threatened. This person also, or maybe somebody here needs to learn something about I think what you're learning with this person is like, you might be intimidated by strength and like gruffness in a man, but genuine strength is not abuse, and it's not control. He's learning that in his own way with like a weird feminine energy. But like, this guy I don't feel will hurt you, like, because it's not the strong ones you got to be scared of. It's the insecure ones that have to pretend to be strong. Those are the people that'll abuse you. It's not the strong ones that where you recognize the intensity in their energy. Those are usually good people with like, and this person has that. They fiercely want to protect. It's just they get all scrambled and then they do it in the wrong way. So you are in danger around this person. Nikki, thank you so much for the super chat. Right. The religion is not the problem. The scratch, human wound, is on our glasses, and we all have it. Just got to know the scratch is there, and then we can see past it. Love you, Jess and Alex and Coven. Oh, thanks, Nikki. Yes. So I just feel like this person, you are in danger because this person's a protector, but they'll turn on you, and it'll suck, and it'll probably break your heart. I'm not like prophesying that they will. I'm just saying like this person's really confused, and their energy is like all. I feel genuinely they're supposed to be a protector of the people. I just heard power to the people. Like this person, but they're caught up in like a culture war. They're a very smart person, but I think, demonized. They were taught, and this comes from all the things trying to control them. They demonize people who like read books. You know, they think they're a certain way. And that's a real shame, because if this person would read some books, they would be a force to be reckoned with. What? If this person would read a book, I think they would actually really enjoy it, for one. And they could pick out any book that they want, you know? And they might actually learn something that they've been lied to. And that, I just heard, free your mind and the rest will follow. Yeah, so like this person's mind has been very much, I just heard like warped, but also colonized by these people who want to maintain their own power and control in the world. This person can't see that. They're completely blind to it. And so I think there's, okay, so there was this, I don't really like Russell Brand. He's like a flip-flop. Like I don't really like him. But I used to, when he put out the special, that comedy special, what's it called? Messiah Complex. I thought that was really creative and very clever. But he, at one point, there was a heckler in the audience, and he told him, he was like, quiet please. And then like the guy just like kind of kept going, and he was like, okay. So like, and he said something like, I have not lived a life free from mental health struggles, and I feel it is my duty to be, you know, patient with you. So why are you on this earth, fellow human? Like, what is going on with you? And I feel like that's you. You're like, I have not lived a life free from these kinds of like brainwashing struggles. And so I feel it's my duty to be kind and compassionate to you. And I don't feel like you're pompous or like pretentious at all. It feels like you can meet this person on this very salt of the earth kind of level. And because you've had your own inner alchemy and your own inner experience, you don't have to say the words like I would say them, like systemic or whatever. You don't have to use those words. I feel like there's a way that you can just like connect with this person, like about your own life. And that's what this person's going to fall in love with is like, and I think that they're meant to. You somehow are not a part of whatever categories they're like, well, this is what a good person is. They have this label, that label, and that label. And they really can't see that like the people who have those labels they suck. A lot of times they suck. And this person can't say, and they definitely don't check their in group, right? Because those are the kinds of things that would change the world. The Light Heart Alchemist, thank you so much for your mind and your heart. Yeah. So I think that's been enough here. This is a really interesting person. They are a work in progress is what I'm getting. And they're so confused and they're very frustrated and they're kind of dingy but God loves this person so much. And this person has a genuine connection. I think it's with Jesus Christ, but like they have a genuine connection with like a loving, I just heard, and with you, they have a genuine connection with Jesus. And maybe for some of you, you do actually link where you're like, I love Jesus too. I think that Jesus is actually a really cool dude. I think the people that have warped his words in order to divide us, because Jesus, like with the prostitute, and he says, he who is without sin cast the first stone. It's like this person missed that. And maybe they don't even actually read the Bible. They just kind of take what other people say. They don't make up their own mind. They were taught that that's bad, So I think you get it. I think you were taught the same things and you had to burst out. I just saw a little chick that was like pecking out of its shell. Like that's kind of what this person is. They're pecking out of their shell and they will be stronger for it and more independent. And that's what they're learning how to do. I also think this person has like a people pleasy thing. And also it's him and his mom have this like it's us against the world kind of a thing. And it's really a shame because I feel like mom needs a lot of help. Mom, I'm seeing like a mental institution. Mom, I think like what I'm getting from that is like, I think it's giving 12th house isolated spaces. Mom needs to be isolated and away from people. And she needs help, a lot of help, I think. But she might not realize it. And I'm not saying these people need to be institutionalized. I'm not qualified to say that. That's the image I'm getting in my mind. And I'm seeing nurses around this person. And nurses, they're an educated person that is also objective. They have empathy, but they recognize too, like, I'm not going to be emotionally manipulated by you, okay? Because I know what's going on and you need this medicine. Of course you don't want it. Like, because the mom, like, doesn't want it. She doesn't want the medicine. She doesn't want, and I mean medicine kind of metaphorically too. Maybe for some, she doesn't want to take medicine and she needs to take medicine and she won't take her medicine. But she needs people around her that can hold her accountable. And her son that she's raised and brainwashed is not the guy. He could be strong like this, but he would have to have that objective view of strength and he doesn't. So instead he becomes this enabler. He has protector energy and he has strength energy and he's become an enabler. And I think that you're going to see that. You're going to be like, you are so much less than you could be. And again, I think this person has that frustration because they know that they could be more and they wonder why they get passed up for promotions and stuff like that. And it's because they don't think for themselves and they are kind of they're kind of brainwashed. They don't realize it. They don't kind of understand the signals that they kind of give off. And I think that you're going to help them do that because I think you're going to have that experience with them where you're like kind of dusting them off and you're like, you're kind of cool under this. Like, I don't know, like you're kind of looking like, see, I thought you were one way, like a bad way. Not like I was kind of scared of you, or like I thought you were, I don't know, something like that. And it's going to be a revelation to this person, I think. So anyways, I think we talked enough about pile number 1. That was pile number 1. So many of us think this is our past. Oh, interesting. Maybe for some of you, this is somebody coming back around, or maybe this is somebody else kind of like that. Because I think for some of you, it could be somebody new. And maybe this was your past and it could be somebody new. Because again, I was getting that connection to your masculine side, where your masculine side resonates with this. And karmically, I think not just once, but feels like a responsibility. Because maybe like when you were wrapped up in this in like whatever lifetime, because I really am getting that it was a past lifetime that you lived as a man. You feel like you helped or assisted or that you yourself like indoctrinated these people. So you could have been like, evangelical, in a past life. And so the people that you were evangelical towards, you feel like, let me help you out of this. Because now I feel like it was kind of icky, like the way that shit happened. So it could be a new person. This could feel like a purpose for your soul.
It also feels like, to me, a little bit like, fool me once, fool me twice kind of thing.
Oh, fool me once, fool me twice. So like maybe they should be on their guard or?
Perhaps. Like,
okay.
Just keeping an eye out. Like, fool me once, once, shame on you. Fool me twice. Well, I didn't learn my freaking lesson.
Oh, okay. So I don't know if you guys heard that with the microphone, but Alex was just saying he's also picking up on like a fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me kind of a vibe. So for some of you, maybe, yeah, because it does, like, I was getting that. It does feel like this person's at a tipping point. And I think if they're not going to, like, if they're going to demonize you, this is very much a person where if you stick your neck out for them, they don't mean to be a bad person, but it's like they'll flip and they'll go side with the ex, or they'll get back with their ex or something. And they'll be like, oh my God, Jezebel, you were trying to like blah, blah, blah. And then they'll like be like terrible to you, abusive, and they'll think it's righteous. People like this will be terrible and they will think that it is righteous. And that's the brainwashing. And they cannot have an objective view of their actions where they're like, yeah, I know those actions are terrible. It's just that you're a Jezebel, or that you are, whatever. And they're misusing those labels. This is a person who's so confused. They misuse labels and they've like kind of been around that. So yeah, I think you might have to judge by that. Alex is really intuitive. I think I tell you guys that sometimes, but like he's really intuitive. And so I don't know. There could be somebody with intuition that you didn't realize was there, that like kind of popped out and you're like, who's in the background? And they might have some kind of knowledge or something. Okay. Same. I was feeling the same. Yeah. Okay. So that was pile number 1. So I'll put this back up there. The one on the top is the anchor card, just in case you want to refresh yourself with that. We just finished, if you're just joining us, we finished pile number 1, which is the Orphan, and then we're moving on to the Shadow. He chose a Jezebel, but he doesn't know that is the thing. Not that that should be your problem. Mark yourself safe from this individual. What do I do with it? Okay. Compassion. Now's a good time to compassion. Compassion. I'm gonna get my chapstick on. He thinks that's winning. Mm-hmm. I'm also getting that Adi Ashanti quote from, I almost said the end is near, the end of your world, where he said something like, until you give the world its freedom, you will not have your freedom. Until you give the world its freedom to agree with you, to disagree with you, to choose you, to not choose you, then you will never have your freedom. He talks about like, you have to allow the world to wake up. And I feel like that's what you're practicing too, because you can't force this person to wake up. You can't force this person to want to change. You can't force healing upon anybody. And that's so funny because what did I say about the mom? Oh, that's about exploitation, because the mom is a controlling, manipulative woman. She also just doesn't admit certain things to herself. Her controlling nature is like kind of insidious, and she just needs people that she can't exploit, people that she doesn't have power over, and people who are very objective and who are intelligent around her. So it's not about control. And she needs that isolation because I think she tries to prey upon like the community, and I think she uses emotionality to like appeal. So they're just saying like they're using that setting because the hospital is like, it is an isolated setting, and the people around her are all more educated than she is, and they're all objective, and they're trained in empathy. At the very least, they have that like kind of mental empathy, the cold empathy, but they can also, it's kind of like, I have to take my cat to the vet sometimes because they have like issues and they hate going, but it's like, I know you have to go and I know that you're going to feel better. And now actually, because they're getting older now, and that now actually they know that after they go to the vet, they always feel better. So they put up they're always nervous, but they put up like a little bit less of a fight, and the mom doesn't know that yet. That like, actually when she does, I think maybe this person doesn't take like mainstream medical advice or something, or like they won't get like the shot that they need, and it's like, if you just do that, you always feel better afterwards, I don't know. Okay. So we're going to do pile number 2, which is the Shadow. All right. Tell us about pile number 2's next relationship, spirit, compassion. Okay, let me see. I just heard mama say, mama sa, mama kusa, mama say, mama sa, mama kusa. There could be like, yeah, I'm kind of getting that. Maybe there's like dancing or something. Maybe you went dancing with this person or something, and there was like a revelation or something. I don't know. With the Shadow, there is this kind of opposites attract energy, but let me okay, I just heard this person has opposite traits, and where it will kind of like confuse you. It might be something similar to pile number one. Not, this is a different person, but where I think something about this person appears scary or intimidating. Like they might dress goth or something, or they might just have like RBF or like the man version of that or something. But actually they're very happy, or they're very something. Or they just have like kind of opposite traits or something. And maybe that's a revelation for you. Yeah, it might be a revelation for you because like you meet this person and you think that they're like one way, but this doesn't feel like it goes on for a long period of time. I think that it feels like their rising sign must be very different than like their sun sign or their moon sign or something. And then like it feels like as you get to know this person and they become more of an acquaintance, like immediately they say or do something. Or if you get this person outside of the work environment or something, they immediately say or do something and you're like, whoa, what? But I feel like you're smiling, like something to do with that. Okay, so all right, let's go to the true emotional. Oh, interesting. Love, hate. You may hate this person and then like grow to love them or something. You might think that they're like really annoying or something, or like, I don't know, you put them in the wrong category, but it feels like just loosely. So who is this person? Who is, oh my gosh, divine masculine just came out. Spiritual gifts just came out. Okay, so this person's spiritually gifted. Oh my gosh, look. Oh my gosh. Okay, so then this all, hold on, I'm gonna sneeze. No, I'm not. Okay. This all just like flopped down on the like love hate kind of a thing. So we have backstab, pain, cheating, deception, mind games, love bomb, divine feminine, fed up, wish, phony, trickster, illusions, firestorm, karma, drama, ending, lost, mental breakdown. For some, I kind of am wondering that this person did this to you. This could be somebody that like you have a love-hate relationship with that is actually maybe stepping up into their divine masculine energy. Maybe they actually do have some kind of spiritual gifts, or it's like somehow because of spiritual gifts, this person's stepping up in their divine masculine energy and they're like kind of coming back around. That's just for some. Don't hold your breath. But for others, I feel like you have been through that with somebody here, and now there's a divine masculine coming in, and this is a divine masculine. You've been through the cheating, love bombing thing with somebody that you thought was your love, but actually like maybe now you have like a bit of a love-hate relationship with. It's like it all is kind of teaching you about your shadow, and that was like some type of revelation. And then now this is moving you out of a certain groove that you were in. And it feels like an energetic sow or an energetic groove with this person for like a long time. I feel like this is like several lifetimes. So be patient with yourself is what I'm hearing. But then it feels like there's a divine masculine coming in. Okay, great. So who is this divine masculine? I just heard mama say, mama sa, mama kusa. Like, what does that even mean? Like, why am I getting that? Okay, hold on. We just got bad news, and then like bad credit or unemployment. So maybe this person received some type of bad news in relation to a job or something. Oh, and maybe that was some type of like wake up call for this person. And that's part of them stepping up in their energy too, not into their spiritual self, but maybe into their worldly self. You might meet this person during that process, at some point, like during that process. Okay, I feel like, there's a lot of sexual attraction between you, a lot of heat, a lot of sexual chemistry. And I feel like, okay, this person is like really beautiful is what I'm getting. I think they're attractive, and I think that it might break a lot of people's hearts that this person's with you. It changes somehow their fortune, and I feel like you're changing your fortune by being together. This is like a new timeline. This is new timeline kind of stuff. And it's funny because the information's kind of trickling in. And I think that's because it's like this new timeline. It's this new kind of energy. Oh my gosh, Sunny Night Design just said, please don't stop the music. Okay, I feel like there is some kind of like music thing. Like, maybe this person introduces you to like a new style of music and you're like, please don't stop this music, and you're like kind of vibing to it. Or like you guys hang out like, and you like to listen to music, or maybe you do go dancing or something. Like it could be any kind of music. So, okay, what about this person? Who is this person? It's divine masculine that's coming in. Okay, okay, so we've got, I've liked you for a really long time at the bottom of the deck. And then we've got, I have a secret. But this to me feels like there's people around, or like one particular person around this divine masculine. For some of you, it's multiple because there's 4 women on this card that are trying to like show off to him, but I feel like he's focused on his spiritual self and like his spiritual gifts, because maybe for some of these people they have spiritual gifts and they're actually really emotional. Look at that. Like, look, she's like crying. This feels like kind of unstable. And it's kind of moon energy. This guy might be Sun or Saturn dominant. Okay, yeah. I think he's kind of Sun dominant. So what I'm getting is like very attractive. And he does kind of do his own thing. And he may have like had a history of casual relationships, but he's not cruel in that. And I feel like he's always been very open about that. Like he wasn't leading people on and giving somebody like an expectation. I think though that because with Sun dominant men, a lot of times moon dominant women kind of surround, and they're very emotional, kind of dripping emotional energy. And they want to kind of tie the Sun person down in a relationship because they want a family and they want that kind of maternal stuff, but they also want to be seen with him, and but they're always like very emotional, or they'll like kind of bring up like emotions. But the Sun eventually kind of gravitates towards, likes, and settles down with a Saturn dominant person. A lot of times that's the way that goes. Somebody who is very kind of witty, quick-witted, doesn't really want much from them, has like a very simple kind of clean appearance. Maybe that's you as well. And I think it like breaks a bunch of people's hearts that you are that way. And I think that for some of you, you might be seen as like a karmic relationship by these people who are actually in a karmic dynamic with him. It feels like a karmic emotional dynamic with him, where they're all like wrapped up. Their feelings are very much wrapped up in this guy. And they think that he's the devil, I think, because maybe he did do schmegs with some of these people, but it just doesn't feel like he was leading them on in any type of way. I don't think that it was ever said, I want to be your boyfriend, you want to be my girlfriend. I think that they were just like, I want you to be my boyfriend, or I want you to be my girlfriend, kind of a thing. And I think that they have like kind of a fatal attraction to this guy and to his masculinity and his masculine side, because I think that he's very attractive and he might be seen as like a leader. He's not full of himself though at all. And yeah. And you're seen as kind of like a victor here, but you're not trying to be, if that makes sense. And actually there's a sense of maybe people copying you, and they actually have maybe like less self-confidence and like the confidence to like truly be themselves. So they're trying to like maybe copy you. Yeah, because I think that when you and this guy get together, okay, because I think he actually, okay, so something's going on here behind the scenes that people don't know about. I think he actually received some type of bad news when it comes to his career or when it comes to his job. Sun dominant people can be very, like their career is important to them. They tend to live very austere lifestyles, even though like they're very successful. I think this is like a trait that he has. He could be like seen very highly in his career. He could make a lot of money, but you wouldn't know it because he doesn't buy a lot of things, or like that's kind of not important to him. But career is important to Sun dominant people. So he would be pursuing some type of career, and it's because he got some bad news. So I think maybe he got overlooked for a job or something, and he thought, well, I need to get myself, have more skill sets or something so that I can get, and independence is important to people with their Sun. I need to be more independent. And so what do I need to do in order to get myself in that position? Self-starter kind of energy is what is kind of going on as well. That's going on behind the scenes. It's not something that he broadcasts to the world. But I feel like, again, you meet him maybe right after this, and where he's on that kind of experience. Maybe you meet him at a place where he's working in order to get that experience, or going to school or something. And these women around kind of look at you like, because there's a huge leap forward when the two of you kind of come together, and it's on the material, and the two of you seem kind of opposites in some type of way. And so the people around are kind of like, that's a materialistic based relationship, when actually you both inspire the best in each other, and you're not trying to tie this person down, and they actually really like that. And also, I think you interact with this person in a way that other people don't interact with this person. Like you're kind of dry, or you're not afraid to be yourself, or like you are like more distant. And I think that he's not used to having his boundaries respected. I think that he's used to actually women pursuing him, but it is in this very receptive kind of emotional sort of a way, and where he's like feels responsible for their emotions or something. And you're very much not like that. Yeah. You might have like, I think you see yourself as like a nerd in this situation, and you see yourself as a friend maybe. And I think you've got something else going on too, where you are like either new in an environment, or you are, I don't know, you don't feel like you're trying to find your place or something. And so you're both in this kind of wiggly energy, like a transition kind of space. And it's weird that you guys kind of fall together in this transition space because neither one of you were looking for this. And you also might think that this is not like necessarily the ideal time. And he thought that with these other people too, because he was like, I'm in a transition. I'm not really looking to get married, or I'm not looking to be in a relationship. I'm focused on school, or I'm focused on my career or something. And so are you. And then I just saw like the two of you kind of back up into each other, and it was like, whoa. And then like now you guys start walking together to school or something. And it just works. But I feel like it's cast. Okay, I get it. So you and this person together, there's a lot of shadow energy that this brings out in other people. And I think in moon energy. So in people's family, in people's, in these feminine energies that are around, maybe they are like more mother figure types. There might also be mother figure types that have a crush on this person, but it's giving weird. It's giving strange, in regards of like the dynamic, because it's giving that they want to sleep with him or have slept with him, but then they're like calling him a kid, or something like that. And it's as a result of emotional instability. I think you might, so you could get a certain impression of this guy because there are so many of these women around. They seem to be emotionally unstable and very dependent on him. And you see him nurture that in some way. And I think part of you thinks, ew. And I think you're right, but I don't think that he really saw it that way. And I think that he was not mean, but also not emotionally invested. I don't know. He's not asking for the emotional bit. I don't know. And he's not the pursuer in these relationships. It'll confuse you. This will confuse you. Yeah, so both you and this masculine that's coming in, you're in the Knight of Pentacles energy. Like you're slowly working. Actually, you're both pursuing your own independence in some way. And he really likes that. And doesn't know that he likes that, or doesn't know why he likes that. He just feels more drawn to you. It feels like you give him a lot of space to choose and to make up his mind. He's not used to that. He's used to it being just like a frenzy, and yeah, I think that you break the mold here in some type of way, but also you have sun energy as well. Like maybe you're alone, or you feel kind of, it's giving Critica energy. So like kind of orphaned, but also, maybe you guys bond over food and music, good things to bond over. You're trying to be independent. You're trying to lay the foundation to where maybe some of you staunchly is like you're trying to make sure that you don't need anybody. And you inadvertently became this person's like match. And also and I think I mean that in more ways than one, like a gnosis, an ignition here of like, wait, that's what I want. I think this person thought they didn't want relationships, but it was because relationships always felt very suffocating, and they always had like female energy just like kind of clinging to them. But at the same time, maybe trying to play coy. Like that's not what they're doing, but they're like always, why are you always right here? Is kind of like what it feels like. Why emotionally, why are you right here? And it feels like these people need a lot of support, and they don't really, or if they do, it's not from him. They need, it feels like emotional instability. They might need other kind of support. Maybe their friends, maybe a therapist, maybe even medication for some of these people. But, I don't know. It's like he is a support. I don't know. I feel like this is going to really confuse you. Because it's like, why do you allow this weird dynamic to go on around you? Because they say they want his support, but really they want his attention. And they're going about it in this roundabout way. I don't know. Okay. Tell us about him, though. I feel like he's got a really nice body. I feel like that's something that you notice. And I think that he moves really well. And for some of you, this is in the wake of somebody else is trying to clear the air with you. Somebody that feels dejected, but also, again, the pain and the backstabbing energy, they're trying to clear the air with you. And then that's when I feel like you meet this person. And actually, this person's a revelation to you. Because I think they are whatever you thought this other person was. There's a lot of processing of the shadow that's coming through. Like between the two of you, I feel like you're both a revelation to each other about what you want in a relationship and what it feels like to be with a person who pursues their own independence and is actually very strong and can stand on their own. And because they can stand on their own, they're actually truly free to choose a relationship. He's got people around him that are very, very dependent. And in a way, these people are not free. And the sun likes freedom and it likes independence. And he doesn't get it and they don't get it. And I think there's a lot of emotional cloudedness around these women. I do feel that you will be demonized here. And I think that you will be seen as much more superficial than you actually are, when actually they are. They have to cut through a lot of their emotions. So, and that's like, you serve this function here. I also think that he is shining a light on this other person's shadow that's trying to clear the air with you. So they might know each other. I'm not really getting that though. I feel like you meet him when you distance yourself from something, from some kind of pain, cheating, or backstabbing. And somehow this person from your past seems to know about him. So it could be like you guys get married and he knows that that's the person that you're with. And, or like you get social media official or whatever. And it shines a light on his shadow, and it kind of his energy calls this guy out without directly calling him out. It's like, oh, I'm strong and I'm independent and I'm free and I make my own choices and I don't pain and cheat and backstab towards people. And that's why I'm in a healthy relationship with a healthy person who is also pursuing their own independence. It calls people out. I feel like the energy between the two of you kind of call people out, but the two of you don't call people out. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like the fact that you choose each other makes a lot of people around have to process their inner, like, unhealed shadow work. And I think I'm supposed to tell you that because you might not understand that. And I do feel that there's forces that are trying to kind of rip you guys apart because they want one of you like for themselves. And you should know that, because it also feels like he doesn't understand this energy. He knows he doesn't like it, but also I think he feels supportive. Maybe he does support in his career. He feels supportive, but there's no healthy boundary here. There's no healthy line of what he needs to learn what support is. You know, like, I don't know. I studied psychology in school. You have to learn what healthy support is. You know, it's not you bending over backwards. It's not you agreeing with everything that somebody says. You have to like create a safe container, but you have to find a way to kind of challenge people's delusions, because their delusions hurt themselves and they hurt other people. And it's like a really, really hard balance. And I feel like he doesn't have that balance yet of how do I support people, you know, in a career? How, you know, I think what he thinks is support is enablement. And I don't think these people are around him for the reason he thinks. And so you might shine a light on that. Either just your presence, the way that you are, because you don't need him and you're not desperate like this. And I think you might actually genuinely need support. And I think the way in which he supports you feels healthier. And then I think it really comes down to, they don't need his support. If they need support, it's emotional support from a professional, or like their friends. They're clinging to him because they want him to save them, because it's a sexual thing. They want his attention, and they want him, ew. As a Sun Saturn dominant person myself, strongly to this, but I feel like they want him to fall in love with their neediness. I'm this needy, gummy ball, and isn't that attractive to you? And it's not attractive to him. This is somebody that thinks it's gross to do sex or impregnate somebody who's weak. You need to be strong if you're going to bring another being into the world. And I feel like their aphrodisiac that these people are trying to do, it's not an aphrodisiac. It doesn't make him fall in love with them. It might make him pity them. They might be around. They might do smegs together, but he's not attached to them in the way that they're attached to him. You know, he doesn't understand that. And I don't think he understands he is actually hurting these people by allowing them to be around. But again, you might shine some kind of light on this, like just your presence, and also the fact that you seem to be self-contained. If you have an emotional issue, I feel like you have good friends, or you have your ways of dealing with that. And that'll be a revelation to him. Mama Heat, thank you so much for the super chat. Yeah, Ace of Cups. There's a lot of, I just heard compassion for what each of you have been through. This is strange because it's like it's Saturnian compassion. So it's like there's boundaries and there's structure and there's support here. There's a lot of compatibility. You both are very attracted to each other, and I feel like he's more maybe athletic. I don't know, there's a Mars quality here, which he's a man and they're ruled over by Mars. And you're more Saturn. You're very well put together. And I think that you're very maybe methodical in something, but also very friendly and approachable. And I don't know, he really appreciates you. He really does. And like I said, there's a lot of compatibility here. And he actually gets to figure out who he is because people just want to cling on to this guy. Cling on. Okay. You guys have a lot to talk. You have so much in common. I think you like the same music, or like one of you or both of you introduce each other to new genres of music that you actually do like. Or it's like, oh, I thought that I didn't like this, but like when you show them certain songs or something, they're like, well, I guess it's not so bad. You guys might like to like go to concerts together, but I also feel like you guys like to talk. You get each other's gears turning. You get each other thinking about things in a different light. And actually, you guys process through a lot of your traumas or like your shadow work, but it feels like just through your friendship, because this feels like a connection that's built on genuine friendship and like compatibility that way of let's be good humans to each other. Whereas these other people were trying to play out some like kind of histrionic version of the feminine. And I think he took them at face value. This is a guy that will very much take people at face value. And so he's like, what's wrong with you? Oh my gosh. And it's like, they think that they think it's attractive to him. They think it's attractive. And it isn't. I think there's some level of confusion. Like, I thought we fixed you yesterday, and here you are again with another breakdown. And they're like, they just like to have his attention and like his special attention, his one-on-one attention. So they're also, you might hear things about this man like, oh yeah, he dated so-and-so. And he'll be like, I never dated that person. And what he means is, I don't have healthy boundaries. And I also can't recognize what someone's true motive is around me, especially when it comes from a woman. And I'm also a very kind, caring person, but I don't know how to channel that into kind of fatherly energy of like, oh, we can be loving, but we will have healthy boundaries. He needs to learn that. Because I also feel like this man is meant to be a leader, but he can't be a leader. Like spirit can't ascend this man to a leader until he can see that and like hold healthy boundaries. And maybe you're a good example for that. Or you just say like, or just you being around kind of chills these people out. Because now all of a sudden it's gross. Like if they do it and he's got a girlfriend, it's gross. And I feel like maybe that'll happen. And I think I'm just supposed to warn you of this, that it's these people pursuing. He's not the pursuer. And I don't think that why doesn't he know? I think it's weird to you that he doesn't know, or that he's not the emperor. He might've had an abusive father. Oh, he thinks he's abusive. Okay. So he doesn't. Okay. He thinks that holding a boundary to a woman is abusive. He doesn't, because there's some type of abusive energy, or he's been on the receiving end. Like maybe his boss is terrible too, but he's been on the receiving end of like tyrannical masculine behavior. And he really thinks that holding a boundary and just saying no, or I see right through your bullshit. Like he thinks that's abusive. Just being like, Sarah, I understand that you have like emotional issues, but you really do need to book a therapist, honey. Like I have a life to live and I don't want to be spending one-on-one time with you, kind of a thing. Like, yeah. And that kind of, he needs to be mirroring that back. That is actually the thing, ironically, that will set a lot of his karmics free. It's not his softness. He needs to hold a boundary. And then I think they will think he's a devil. And that'll actually, I think that's him clearing up his karma with you, because they're so jealous of you that they think that you are a karmic. So it'll actually move and they'll think he's a karmic instead of you, which is progress. Because that's the thing. He doesn't understand that like, oh, I'm supporting all of these people, but actually he's like harming the woman he loves. He doesn't get that. That he should be protecting the woman that he loves. And the way that he needs to protect is just by having healthy boundaries. And being kind of cold. Saturn is cold. It's not unloving, but it's kind of cold. It's like, ma'am, you're out of Wendy's. That's what it's giving. Ma'am, you're out of Wendy's. I think like for a lot of these women around, it's like, ma'am, you're out of Wendy's. That is their level of connection on a soul plane. But he's scared of just saying like, I don't really feel that, because he thinks that he's the bad guy if he does. So, yeah. And even if he's sleeping with other people, like it feels very casual. It feels like not serious. And it feels like he's very curious about you, but it feels like you're focused on the material in some way. And you're kind of like blocked off. And you also, because of something that you've been through, again, pain, cheating, backstabbing, and you see all these women around and no boundaries, you will notice that on some level, even if it's subconscious. And if it's subconscious, I think I'm supposed to be talking to some of you where it's just going to feel subconscious, and you'll know because it's this feeling of like needing to breathe into a paper bag, but not understanding why, because he's so nice and he seems like everything is kind of under control. But then why are you sleeping with your friends? And why don't you recognize that that's pain? And why don't you recognize that you're not protecting who you should be protecting? And that so it's because of that I feel like you're going to get confused about like this situation and how serious he is about you. But I feel like he's serious about you. And I feel, so how's he going to communicate this? He's also not used to being the pursuer. I strongly feel that this is a man who's been pursued by women a lot. Yeah, he's going to realize that he was very blind about the pain that was caused in this situation. And he's going to maybe even like apologize to you. Yeah, he's going to say like, I was caught up in a fantasy about who I was and what I was doing, or like, I came up short in the past, like, please don't go, kind of thing. Because you might have to say to this guy, like, look, these are not your friends. And I don't know who you think you're fooling, but like, it's very obvious to me what they're doing and what's going on. And I think it's obvious to you too, because I think you think he's an asshole. I think you think, how can you not know what these women are after? It's because I think he's been abused. He's also afraid of their ire. He's afraid of their ire. And so I think it'll come out in a direct way, because for some of you, I think you're going to be like, listen, I'm out. Like, you really can walk away from this guy. He's not experienced somebody like you before. He really hasn't. And so I think you're just going to be like, look, I'm out, because these are unhealthy relationships. You don't recognize it because you think you're being so nice, but also women don't, you know this, and I know this, women don't like the nice guy. You don't want to fuck the nice guy. It's great that he's nice, but you don't want him to be too nice to other women. It's threatening, and also it's gross and weird and icky, and you're not special. And he, I think, will know that, or he'll have to confront that. He didn't know how he was making you feel. He was kind of asleep at the wheel in regards to that, but he's a good guy, and he's very attractive, and he's going places. But there's a lot of shadow stuff. I feel like when you guys first meet and it feels like it's rocky when you guys first get together and you start dating, because you're seeing red flags. But I think with him, they're not red flags. I just think that I feel like, okay, so if you get in a relationship with this guy, definitely have a direct conversation about it. Like, say there's too many women around and there's zero boundaries. And I know you think that that's you being a nice person, but it's you being a messy person. And I know that you think that you're helping these people, but they need, they're emotionally unstable, and that's a work for a therapist, not a guy that these people don't know very well. You need to say, ma'am, you're out of Wendy's, and they just want your attention. They're acting like they need support, but what they really want is attention. And when you give them attention, you're feeding something in them that you don't mean to be feeding in them. And that is going to ruin every serious relationship that you have with a woman who can stand next to you. And you're going to recognize that. And I mean, I wouldn't put an ultimatum on this guy, because I think that you probably will get fed up and need to walk away. But he will hear what you're saying and he will reflect on it. I just don't think that he thought too much about these women, to be honest. It's not in a cruel way. It's just that they're obsessed with him. And so the dynamic is off, and he's not, as far as he knows, he's not inviting it. He's just sexy, I think, and kind. And it's a little chum in the water it's chum in the water. And I feel like you're going to be demonized. And he's got to make it safe for you, is what I want to say. I think he's got to make it safe for you. And he can only do that with boundaries. So I don't know if he can, I don't know how I feel like that's for you guys to work out, but, and that's new for him, because it's new for him because he's independent. I feel like he's been independent in every relationship he's ever been in as well, because it's been with these like kind of moon people, and a part of him always distances himself, but he thinks that's the role he's supposed to play, is by caregiver. I don't think this man's ever been in a relationship where he wasn't the caregiver. It's sad and gross. So he doesn't know what having a real girlfriend is. I think he knows what being a nursemaid is, and also effing your patient, which is sick and sad, and weird and gross. And I think you will witness this and not know what you're seeing. And it'll make you feel ew, and it'll make you feel uncomfortable. And also, like, these women need to not be around. And no, you're not breaking up any meaningful friendships. They're angling, and you know it. This is not meaningful relationships. This is manipulation, but it's like emotional manipulation. And some might come from his family. So, anyways, okay, that was it. It doesn't feel like this guy's the problem. It feels like people around this guy are the problem. The kind of people that are up in his face. Because when you're attractive on any level, certain people will be right here. You know, they'll like kind of pursue you. And it's so important not to necessarily turn those people away, but just to give yourself a little bit of distance so that you choose. I'm seeing that in Freddie Prinze Jr., that one. She's all that. And his sister has to explain to him that he's a bitch magnet. So he's never liked a girl that didn't like him back or pursue him first. And I don't even think here's the way I think it goes. I think this guy, he must be really attractive in some way. Because I think the way that he's formed crushes is the women who will be like right here to him. And so when he's trying to figure out like who he is in the world, he'll be like, I guess I like you. Because he can't see like around, and it's not calm, and somebody's kind of right up in his face, and it feels very it feels threatening, but it also feels impatient, and it feels very pick me, like in his face. And so he needs to learn how to push people that are pursuing him in a cling kind of way away from himself. The sun always has distance, right? And then be able to choose for himself, and then be able to pursue that. He has not gone through those motions before, but with you, he kind of has to on some level, and it's new and he'll like it, and it'll make him feel like a man too. So anyways, okay. That's what I have for you. Pile number 2. He's not a bad person. And I feel like you're going to feel a type away. Oh, that's, remember I said like, there's some kind of flip-flop energy. You're going to feel a type away. I think you're going to think this is a fuckboy. And I do think he's had a lot of casual relationships. But again, I think that he has not been the pursuer. And I also don't think there's any weird manipulation. For some, I feel like he's incapable, or it's just not worth his time. Like, it's just, I am what I am. And also, I haven't been leading you on. Like, it's not seedy so that he can sleep with a lot of girls. I think that it's just, he's been very independent. And he's not, I don't care. This man will tell you he's had girlfriends, and he has. They've had a relationship where it's like, this is my boyfriend, this is my girlfriend. They may have lived together, they do sex together. This man, hear me when I tell you, this man's never had a girlfriend. This man has never had a relationship. There's either he's had a weird mom incestuous thing, or he's had people clinging to him as a nursemaid thing. He has not been a man. He has not been in a relationship, and he'll like it when he's with you. He'll like it, and it's an epiphany, and it's going to get him thinking, and he's going to really get the ick, I think. And he's also going to be like, honey, bag up. And he needs to do that. And that's his karmics. That's how he kind of clears out his karmics. And there is a way that he helps you clear out your karmics as well. But I think it's just by being a healthy masculinity. Somebody who has his pick of the litter, but like, and therefore isn't a gross man, like pickup artist kind of guy, you know? Okay, so that was pile number 2. This really is a good energy. I feel like I did a bad job of explaining it to where you're like, I don't know, that doesn't really sound like a good time. And it's not, because there's a lot of fucked up shit to deal with. And most of it actually is the female energy that's around that he hasn't learned how to hold a boundary with. But it's not coming from him. But you're going to think it's coming from him. And I did a bad job explaining it, but I don't want you to be scared. But have whatever feelings you're feeling and process through it. And I think just be direct and be willing to leave. And you'll be fine. So on point, this pile reminded me of my ex. For some of you, I think it might be an ex. I wouldn't hold my breath. For some of you, it's like it might be an ex who cheated or something. But like if they cheated, I feel like it was very unemotional, but also like not cruel, or I don't know. I'm not sure. For a very small group of you, is that an ex coming in? I think actually you've been through something with an ex, and like this is somebody who's like kind of coming in. Okay. Bye. Okay. Hold on, I just want to see something. Okay. Oh, that's okay. It's so funny. So many people are like, "Oh, I'm so tired of hearing about this." And to me, this feels like new energy. But also, like, if you need to take a break, then it's okay. Pile through new energy quickly by accident. Oh, there's no way I'm dealing with a guy in a fan club. He doesn't understand that that is a real turnoff for a woman with self-respect. And I think he really wants that. He just doesn't know how to get that. Okay. I just heard a lot of us are like, we're learning the kind of signals that we put off, like towards people, how we kind of signal out. He doesn't understand like the signals that he sends out, and the kind of, it repels the kind of woman that he actually wants. Oh, oh, you're welcome. Okay, so let's move on to pile number 3. The Medallion. Do I want more lip gloss on? Yeah, well, let's do it. Okay. All right, so for pile number 3, Spirit. This is a cool person. I just heard this is a cool person. Okay, so for pile number 3, who is their next relationship? Very strong person. They might have like a lot of back muscles or something. Very strong person. What's this energy that I'm feeling? I feel at ease in this person's presence, and I feel just kind of like smiley. Who is this person? This person could, there's a travel energy here, but I'm not sure that it's physical travel. I think for some, it's like this person's come a long way is what I'm getting, like within themselves. Hi, Thomas. Thank you so much for the super chat. Nice to see you. Okay, so okay, this is so funny. I feel like this person's interested in you. Oh my God. Okay. This is a funny person. Like in their energy, they're really calm. They're really chill. But I feel like this is the way that they see you, this like Pele energy. And she looks kind of angry to me, but also like it's purpose. I don't think this is anger. And I'm hearing you say like, please don't mistake my blank for anger. And I don't know what it is. It's like, please don't mistake my hurt for anger or my purpose or my drive for anger. I feel like some of you are like, I don't know, maybe you're really powered up like in your career and people rely on you and you've got to like be that person who kind of like gives decisions or something. And I think for some of you, you might be the person in pile 2 for this person where, or maybe not, I don't know, take that as it resonates, but it's like you are very different on the inside than you appear on the outside because there's something about you where it's like you can be direct and you can be strong. And I feel like this person is like really intimidated, but they're also curious at the same time about you because there's something about you that just stands out to them and they're curious about you. And this person can't put it down. And I think they don't recognize that their curiosity is actually attraction. Like why they're so curious about you is because they're actually attracted to you. Maybe this person hasn't been attracted to somebody in a while or they're not used to being because it seems like this person's a bit of a tumbleweed, like blowing in the wind. Like, I don't know if that's in their soul or just like maybe they have actually been traveling around. It doesn't feel like luxury travel though. It feels like this person maybe, I don't know, has backpacked somewhere or, and they're just kind of like in their groove and they're in their flow. And this person, like they are a very strong person, but then they kind of look up and there you are and you're a very strong person and it is strength in you. But I think they're worried that it's like, that you're angry with them or that you're just an angry person or something but they know it's not that. They can't quite put their finger on it with you. And actually, I think that you are a very like lively, fun, jovial, sweet kind of person. It's just in the environment that they see you in, you can't be that. And if you were that, you would be stupid or you would be run over or you would be. But I think because you're a woman for a lot of you or because of whatever this job is, there's something here because of something outside of you. He's struggling to put you in context a bit of like, well, you're good at what you do and you're a survivor and you get by in the world. This is giving very much Sigma, like a Sigma female, where it's like you don't have to be in charge. But if you're in charge, you're going to do the job, you know? And you are smart and you know the way that things should go and you're not scared to just like say the truth. And you feel that anybody who is intimidated by the truth is probably needs to be, you know, it's like they're in denial about something or I don't know. It's like, so they're really interested in you. This person's like very interested and very curious in you. Contentment and pleasure. Yeah. Because you are this person's contentment. I feel like pleasure came out twice. I feel like there's a lot of pleasure between the two of you. Like this feels like maybe a very sexual connection or like you're the height of pleasure to this person. I feel like they like your energy. And they're discovering something about themselves in discovering you. Like, oh wait, I like this or I need this or like this is kind of like my counterpart. It's giving that alphas run together actually. And this person feels very Sigma too. And like they're kind of an alpha energy. Like they're a leader energy. They're strong. I think they like to be on their own or they like to kind of go off on their own. And maybe they have, I'm getting like with this person, maybe they haven't been in a relationship for a while. They're not interested in that. It's not that they have trouble with that. I just think that they're focused on something else. And then they see you and now all of a sudden they're kind of interested in a relationship, but this relationship starts off as like this curiosity that they're trying to get to know you. They found a person that they're actually interested in that maybe makes them want to stay in one place for a minute, you know, because the adventure has been brought to them for a second. And that would make me nervous because somebody who needs adventure, who needs like constant change is not a very stable person. And I don't know. I feel like that's a person who, I don't know, there's like, they probably struggle with acceptance or something like that, you know? But this person, I feel like there's a genuine soulmate connection here. You're like their equal. And I think Spirit's trying to show them like, you need an alpha, like to kind of run with you because you're an alpha. And like, I think this person hasn't really what they're feeling and sensing is that actually they respect you and they like it, actually. For some of you, this person, I don't know, I just get the sense that they haven't dated anybody like you, or they haven't dated anyone in a while, but they actually like that you kind of go toe to toe with them, that you can hold your own. You're not a pushover. If you're scared of the truth, you're scared of me. Yes, Andrea, that's it. But also, like, what does that say about, like, if you're scared of the truth, what environments do you go to? Who are you around? You know, like, it's kind of a bad sign. Also, I don't think, like, if somebody's got it, you're silent. You know, it's like you only step in when you really have to. They don't know what to do to get close to you, this person. And for some of you, you might, because this person kind of travels around, they might literally actually travel around. You might be in a more stable position in your career. Like you might have more superiority in something in the world than this person. And they kind of don't know how to step to you, but they want to. And I feel like it's kind of a calling for this person to like plant their roots and to see what grows, because I feel like this is a calling towards like a relationship and something that looks a little more traditional than this person thought that they were after. This person has a lot of wisdom. I think this person feels misunderstood a lot in their life. Yeah, it's like, because in this head, my thoughts are deep. Sometimes I can't even speak. I feel like that's why this person's been on the road a lot, or like they kind of always move, is because they're not used to being understood. But this is different than pile number one. They're not used to being understood because they have a lot of wisdom. And whenever they try to say that, it gets, oh my gosh, that poem, If, that came out in one of the other piles. That's the other thing. It's like, if you can watch the truth you've spoken twisted into a trap for fools, you know, and not have something about you broken. Like, you know, that's what this person has watched. They've watched, like, they've tried like something that's so important to them that they really worked to understand. When they express it to people, either someone will try to take it and bastardize it and like commodify it in some way, or make it their personality. And I think it's really shocked this person. Cause it's just not it's a love and it's a wisdom here. Or this person's just like not understood. It's giving like Aquarius vibes kind of. And I think this person actually has a lot of healing energy to give, which is why Spirit is wanting to plant this person like a seed in one place. I feel this person is called towards like a family life or a traditional life with you, where they have a home, they have a family, they do work like a regular job, because this person notices things that other people don't. They say things in a way that other people don't, and it is actually very healing. And this person has been kind of running, and I just heard that Daughtry song, I started running. All that I'm after, oh my gosh, all that I'm after is a life full of laughter, as long as I'm laughing with you. I think that all that still matters is love and the laughter. Oh no, is love ever after? After the life we've been through, I know there's no life after you. I feel like this person knows that they're not going to meet another person like you, and that now's their stop. Like they kind of know that you're their stop, and like to get off here, and it scares them, because I think this person was thinking that they were headed in one direction, and then Spirit was like, get off the bus, get out of the flow. This is your stop. And they were like, that looks very traditional. I didn't want something traditional. I'm never understood. And that was like moving them. This process that they've been through, where they are kind of running, was getting them to the place that they need to be, the right soil for them to be kind of planted in. And it's somehow with you. And like, you're the nutrients that's going to help like their seed grow or something. And it's confusing this person, because yeah, it's like, you're all I ever wanted, but also I didn't think that I wanted this. You know, I didn't want this, but then here you are, and now I want this. But they can't identify that they want this because they weren't thinking that they wanted it, you know? So it's hard. They're like, what is this that I'm experiencing? What is this that I'm feeling? And they're very curious about it, because they thought that in their soul, they really didn't want something like that. And Spirit's like, you wanted an adventure, right? Don't tell me that you got cold feet, you know? Because I think there's something where it's like, it's always the same thing on the road, you know, like where there's something always changing. It is actually their routine. It is actually their normal. And Spirit's like, I thought you wanted adventure, you know? This person will learn a lot by just having a regular 9 to 5. They don't like it. I think there's something about it that they don't like, and they rebel. But this person, there's something about them that needs to learn how to get along with others and be more cooperative. And they have to submit themselves to something. This person might not believe in like capitalism and things. And I agree, like to a large extent, you know, but this person needs to kind of they avoid their lessons is what I'm getting. So I can't tell if this person is like just avoiding their lessons or if they genuinely have those beliefs. I think it's a little bit of both here. But this person will grow enormously spiritually by being planted in one place and having a mundane life with mundane responsibilities. Because there's something about their ego, their identity, that there's something where like this person thinks ego looks one way and it looks more traditional. Their ego is formed a different way. So they're not able to see it. That the ego identity that they cling to is like the adventurer or somebody that nobody understands, or I'm a lone wolf, and I always go my own way, and I want to be a rebel, and I don't want to be like that's their ego. And so they challenge their ego by somehow being traditional or cooperative. Yeah, Osiris, you are like renewing something in this person that died lifetimes ago. And I think that was a very spiritual death, like whatever that was. It died lifetimes ago. This person's been on a journey and literally they've been on their path. I'm not saying this is not on their path. It feels like they're very much on their path. And I'm seeing it like a river, but also I'm hearing that Garth Brooks song, a dream is like a river, ever changing as it flows. And the dream is just a vessel that must follow where it goes. That song is all about like, well, sometimes your dream might shift and change. How do you kind of like follow it? But I'm seeing this person kind of go down the river. It's giving like river Styx. Like this person may have, there was one reading that I did, and I think it was over on Instagram when I was still doing those. And it was something like on the river Styx, like the river Styx, which is like the river to the underworld, right? And nobody's really allowed into the underworld except for like Hades, but also like Mercury. So this person might have like a Mercury kind of quality. They do. So they're eccentric in some kind of way, but also I think they have like a strong back. I don't know. I don't know why I think maybe eccentric people don't have strong backs. Is that what I meant by that? I don't know. But there's something Mercury. This has really stuck out to me a lot, is like Mercury is the planet that rules over communication. Mercury exalts in Pisces. That has always been a little bit confusing to me, which is so apt. Because Pisces is normally in Western, it's ruled over by Neptune, the planet of like haze and confusion. And for me as a Gemini, I want to be understood when I communicate. And sometimes that's been a desperate plea, which you guys know, a lot of you, that I've talked until my throat is bloody because I'll like re-record things where in my mind, I'll be like, oh no, well, that's confusing. Somebody might misunderstand that. So if I say it this way, then maybe that's a little bit more clear, or it's like a little bit more specific. But once I learned that like Mercury, when it communicates, it's a dual energy. So sometimes it clarifies for people and sometimes it confuses, but all of it is divine because Mercury is the divine channel. All of it is divine because we are all at our own level of consciousness. And sometimes we can't hear truth and we distort the truth. And sometimes the confusion that we think is the truth, we follow it and we meet our karmas and we actually purify our karmas. And it is actually our path. And that is the divine leading us. But all of that is like, it's a very like heavenly kind of process, This person seems to embody that in some way, where it's like they're in the flow. And because of that, certain people understand them and certain people don't. And this person needs to understand that is Mercury. And whatever blame that people are going to put on them is not on them. It's not for them to carry, because that is the function of communication. And especially when you're communicating spiritual truths or like higher truths, because this person I think is a very spiritual person. I don't know if they would say that, but that's kind of what I'm getting. Like they're in the river, they're in the watery energy, which is like the spiritual energy, the emotional energy. Maybe they're good with money, or like money kind of comes and goes, or it flows or something here like that. Like this person like very much trusts that. And that's part of the healing energy, where it's like this person needs to be strong enough to just say like, okay, whatever, from that 70s show when Hyde tries to teach Jackie how to be Zen. I think this person knows how to be Zen in the flow and in the movement, but they don't know how to be Zen planted. And to be the Zen that people kind of run into and just say like, and we all know this as spiritual people. If you listen to somebody talk and you say you're confusing instead of like I'm confused, you've just disempowered yourself, because saying that you're confused, that gives you traction. You can look up concepts. You can meditate on it a little bit more to try to understand what that person was coming across. Maybe you disagree with it, and you're not actually confused. It's not a truth that you really resonate with, but it doesn't change the fact that that person has lived a human life and come to that conclusion, and it has its own kind of value in that. But I think this person's just been around people that are like, I don't understand you and therefore I demonize you, or I make it your problem, instead of like communication is a two-way street, and listening and understanding is just as much of a skill that people do need to work on sometimes. as is communicating something. And so when there is a misunderstanding, it's not necessarily a failure of the communicator. I feel like this person feels like, what's the point of communicating? And so they kind of give up. But there's something about like grounding their energy where they have to kind of keep trying to be understood, or they have to master communication, or this person would much prefer to be a lone wolf. And I do think that that is like part of their journey. But like with you, they're meant to kind of settle down, but it'll be hard. Like living in society will be hard for this person. Kind of like when they took Tarzan out of the jungle and they made him wear those human shoes. And then like he was walking around like not gracefully, even though he's very graceful, like when he's in the jungle. This person has this kind of wild thing about them, maybe like K2, and they don't understand that they are genuinely respected. Even if people can't understand them, because K2, especially if they're men, K2 world individuals, they tend to not necessarily speak like logic, but it's that sage kind of quality, for better or for worse. And people do kind of respect it and still kind of follow it, or even if they don't understand it, they still like it and they sense something in it, you know? And this person needs to kind of learn that and give people more credit. Even if they don't understand, like give people more credit in the sense that they're not trying to not understand. Some people, they'll make themselves known. The people who are just, they never say, I don't understand this, or they never say like, this isn't the place for me. It's like if there's, I feel like this person's been around people where like, okay, if I took a person and I ate them and they were in my stomach, right? And my stomach was doing a really good job breaking them down. They would feel that. They'd be like, wow, this stomach is like awesome. I like doing its job. Cool. Then when it's ready for them to go to the small intestine, I think they've been around people who, they're like, okay, stomach, turn into the small intestine. And if you don't, I'm going to tell you that I'm going to complain. I'm going to say, God, this stomach is like not small intestine-y. And these are people that just kind of don't get that. It's like, they need people to be like, are you capable of moving on to the small intestine on your own? Or do you need a chaperone? Or do you need a swift kick in the ass? Like, I'm not sure what you need to take responsibility for your own experience, make choices that are right for you, and to leave everybody that needs to be in the stomach alone in the stomach and say, oh my God, that is a great stomach. And I'm so thankful that there's a stomach, because without the stomach, I couldn't move on to the small intestine, you know? And like this person's been around that. And I think they take on too much, and it just feels overwhelming. And it's not for them to do, but I think like it kind of feels overwhelming. So this person's like overwhelmed a lot by people stuff. And this person knows a lot more than they speak about. This person's overwhelmed by their intellect. They're actually overwhelmed at how smart they are. And this is like a genuine intellect, but it's also a social intellect. They're overwhelmed by that. This is like a gifted person. And they may well have been gifted like in school. And because of that, they kind of have bypassed, you know, it's like a lot of gifted kids, they don't ever have to study. And then like they get to college, and college is hard for them because they never had to learn how to study. And then they have to kind of like relearn that. This person's gifted in some way, and it does come from past lives. And because of that, they don't have like practice in like kind of studying or something. But if they do, and they have to kind of be forced to slow down, which somehow living a traditional life with you is doing, all of this is going to feel hard and confusing. But this person, they learned how to submit themselves to the flow of the river once in like a different way. And they need to do it in this other environment and know that it is the same thing. This person doesn't think it's the same thing because, again, this person's ego has formed in a different way that they can't recognize. And this person is kind of falling prey to the things that they criticize people for, like when they were in the flow of it, like, you know, why can't you just surrender? Or why can't you just trust or something? They don't surrender and trust when they're planted, you know, and that they don't trust in like the wisdom of the universe, that know where you're at, you know, and you have a household with this person, and, you know, you have your chores that you do, and you bring in income, and you learn how to do that. And it's not the most glamorous thing. But in doing that, the soul is learning a lot of things. They're learning, I think, like how to work with other people. And it's because this soul has a lot to give. This soul has a lot that it understands. And it's in doing that with these mundane things, it's like they're practicing basic skills, and they don't like that. They don't like the sense of, it feels like boring, you know, or it feels like this person is used to being in college and now they have to sit in a third grade classroom. But like I said, this person's like gifted in some type of way, and it's like they kind of skipped over the third grade thing. So simple things are very profound to this person. The everyday things are very profound to this person. This person, I think, has been around stages for some of these people. It's like they've this is the kind of person where I don't know what realm of life this is in, but it's like they've been on a spiritual journey. They've sat with genuinely sages, but the sages that are there for them are sages that are like working at the 7-Eleven by their house. They have a kind of earthy, every man, every woman kind of wisdom that this person really needs. And that's where their profundity is found. Because I think this person likes this profundity, but they've gotten used to something. And I think they're used to being like a big fish. And so the profundity is just in genuinely surrendering to a mundane life and the restrictions therein and calling those restrictions friend. And that's the path that you guys are on together. So I think this person, they are like gifted. They're like, they struggle in a type of way. They struggle in a type of way to be understood. And the struggles that this person has are struggles with like the mundane. And that might really confuse you. There's that's again with this like revolution energy. It gets this person thinking about certain things because this person is like, it feels like the traditionality of whatever your life is going to be. It's the tumble dryer of life where they're irritated by every rub, like especially at the beginning. This is very much a test in beginner's mind, and can you work a regular job and be humble? Does your identity have to be wrapped up in this? Like, or can you do what needs to be done and be in the flow, and this is going to somehow this unlocks spiritual concepts that they understand on a certain level, but not on a base level, it'll ground it down. And it is an opening. It is some type of opening. Yeah. There's something here about like, yeah, because this person like kind of thinks that something's beneath them, but they don't mean it like I'm too good for you. Because this person, like I said, they're spiritualized. They have spiritual concepts, but they don't actually want to do something that is like Mars in action. And it's masculine, something that's like masculine rules over like the being or the doing, right? The Mars energy. I've got to get in there and I've got to do something. And maybe I even have to fight or compete or something because this person's used to being above that in this like kind of feminine energy way where they're associated with like my being, right? And they don't understand that Earth School is not just about philosophies and concepts. The Earth School is about an alchemy that happens in the tumble dryer, and karmas feel like other rocks that you're booming against, and that's how you soften yourself out. And this person understands that on an intellectual level, but then struggles to prostrate themselves to the teacher that is life, and the teacher that is working a 9-to-5 job, and the teacher that is getting the oil changed, and the teacher that is 3 square meals, homie, gotta have breakfast. Like this person, it just all feels kind of like boring, but that is their classroom. And it shouldn't feel, how does it feel? How can they, I'm seeing, they're showing me a sage meditating in a cave and feeling at one with everything and also happy and egoless. This person is very much not egoless in a traditional life. And they've been outrunning it and they want to say, I'm superior, I'm spiritual by outrunning it, if they're not. And they need to kind of ground it down into, that is their temple, Their cubicle is their temple, and they need to figure out how to make that work for themselves. And also there's certain concepts of freedom. I can't remember the guy's name. There's a quote it's a spiritual teacher, and he says, no philosophy of freedom is complete without spirituality. Freedom is always a spiritual issue because what you'll learn in life is that you will always bump up on forces outside of you that restrict you or seek to restrict you in some way. And so the only true freedom is like the freedom within. So if this person cannot sit their ass in a cubicle and be entirely free and blissful, well, then they're not as spiritually advanced as they think they are. And there's a confusion there with that because this person, I saw this thing where a guy was speaking to a woman, asked him a question, why are men like this, like in this certain way? And he said, well, at the end of the day, men care a lot about what other men think. And it's a harsh truth, but the appearance of being a family man is more important than actually being one, and actually being one like mastering it. And I think for this person, this is tough for them to admit. There's some part of their ego that's really tied to the appearance of being spiritual and kind of above it all, and not wrapped up in the muck and the mire, and entirely human, just like the rest of us. The appearance of that has become more important to this person. They've become attached to that as a comfort in their ego identity. The appearance of that has become more important than actually being it. Because Ramana Maharshi, if he had to, could wear a tie and be in a cubicle and be enlightened. Adyashanti, the same thing. They don't need those lessons, and that's why they're not there. But this person is not on that level. And they are fighting. There's like a defiance in this person, but it masks itself as some type of spirituality or something. A part of them does feel, not that they're too good, but maybe that they're too advanced. And this person is gifted in a certain way, but just because you're gifted doesn't, you're not better than anybody else. You're chop wood, carry water, right? After enlightenment, what do you do before enlightenment? Chop wood, carry water. What do you do after enlightenment? Chop wood, carry water. That's the highest, spirituality, so this person doesn't need to work in spirituality. This person doesn't need to, can you live a mundane life and be a spiritual person, or do you have a spiritual ego, or something here like that? And I keep saying spiritual, and I think that's what I mean. So I think this person that you're going to meet is like a very spiritual person. They do have some type of, but they might not consider them, they might think that they don't have a faith or something, but this is a spiritual ethos. And this person is advanced spiritually, and they have had past lives of living in temples. And I just got goosebumps, living in temples, taking spiritual vows, being out in the woods. And it is a spiritual experience. This person knows they do know how that felt like communion with God to this person. They found God in those places, but they haven't found God in denser places. It shouldn't shock this person. Again, they do have a spiritual kind of concept on things. It shouldn't shock this person that they're asked to go into denser places and then find God. After you lift the 10-pound weight, you lift the 20-pound weight. It's harder to find God in those places. And so therefore it is more indicative of mastery. This person kind of doesn't get that. Their soul just rebels, and it spends a lot of time rebelling, and it wrapped up in ego. Like this person's mind is, well, I don't want to do this and I don't want to do that. And their ego is going, nobody fucking asked you. This is your life. This is your path. And the fact that you can't meet it shows you're exactly where you need to be. Nobody made a mistake. The universe isn't wrong. You're right where you need to be. So I think this person will have a lot of inner struggles that you might not, they won't let you in, necessarily. Or if they do, it's like from the superior place where they think they know all the answers and they're like, I know this and I know that. And they do. They genuinely do on an intellectual level. And that's not the problem. The problem was with their body. The problem is putting their body in the position where it needs to be and surrendering to that and burning off karma. Because this person maybe has actually, for as independent as they are, they may have, society will produce the things that this person needs, but they haven't been a part of that production maybe in other lifetimes. So maybe that's a part of it too, is like, I need to be a part of what makes the world go round and not actually just take from it. I'm not too good to contribute to it with my labor and my body. And, yeah. So, but also I do feel this person is kind of a spiritual teacher, but they're meant to be that in a office setting. I really think they're meant to be. God is found in all places. And we all think that that's a beautiful concept. But when we are called to be in all of those places, some of us are reluctant to go. And this person is reluctant to go. They have a mission. They've been assigned. And they are reluctant to go. So, yeah. This person has like all kinds of equations. I think they have a very logical mind. But this is, you know what it is? It's intellectualization, which is an ego defense mechanism, where they boil everything down to like an intellectual concept of things instead of the living, breathing concept. And they break things down into like the letter of the law instead of the spirit of the law. Spiritual law, Tasha Blondiable, thank you so much for the super chat. Oh, thanks. Serenity said, sometimes rebelling to the point of sabotaging yourself is actually your inner child rebelling against suffocating parents and not consciously breaking the cycle in adulthood. I had to learn the same. Yo, that is so true. Where like, I've had that experience as well where you're like, they're not my parents. I am an adult. This is I'm not like being disrespected. I'm not being traumatized. Like this is the dynamic in a work environment. And I need to kind of get myself kind of aligned with that. It feels that way. This is another thing that really, really bothers me about a lot of spiritual people. Not us. I feel like, we're really trying with this, but if you've been in spiritual spaces, a lot of spiritual people like really elevate their feelings and they conflate feelings and intuition. And a lot of times it's just a self-masturbatory energy. They're so wrapped up in their feelings. My feelings are this. Your feelings are not the law. And if your feelings are incorrect and they are not in alignment with reality, I feel squished because my parents burden me. Okay, so if you're a spiritual person, what are you doing about that? Instead of don't just sit there and cry and howl. This feels like when I was 5. Ma'am, you are 37 and you are at a Wendy's. Like, you're pushing things onto other people and calling it superior. So your feelings, my therapist had to tell me forever, and multiple therapists, and God bless them, okay? Your feelings are not facts. Jessica, the reason you have anxiety is because your feelings are not facts. Okay, your feelings are data, but they are not, and they're important, and nobody's invalidating your feelings, but they are not facts. So people will say, I feel bad when I'm at work because I feel restricted because when I was 5 and my blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, so you feel that way, but that's not what's going on. You have a boss that also has a boss, and they have to make sure things run.
One of the best ways I've heard that put is that your feelings are a result of your reality. They are not your reality.
Did you hear that? Your feelings are a result of your reality. They are not your reality. And so if you know that that's the result, and if you want a different result, how do we change it, right? And so it's important to override our feelings. And that's part of what adulthood is. You can ask an adult, I need you to override your feelings because this is what health looks like, and you know it, you know that you're going to feel better if you have breakfast in the morning, so just because you feel like you don't want to, like, don't allow that to be like this excuse kind of a thing. And also your feelings are not always the same thing as your intuition. Your intuition can come up through your feelings, but it can come up in a lot of different ways too. And if you're always associating your feelings with intuition, you just crown your feelings as king. It's kind of king baby energy, because babies, what I mean by that is babies, when they're hungry, they cry. When they shit themselves, they cry. They're so emotional and just infused with their emotional energy at all times. And then you grow up a little bit and you realize that not everything is so personal, and also the world doesn't care about you in that way all the time. It doesn't care, like, fuck your feelings kind of a thing. I don't know. How would a squirrel weather winter, like, if it just cried all winter? You see what I'm saying? And I feel like this person has to kind of get over that a bit. They have to kind of get over themselves. This is like a very spiritual person, but they can't get over themselves, in order just to participate with the rest of us in the dance of life, Yes, I'm a spiritual person, but I also have to put food on the table. So that's why I work at this Wendy's, ma'am. Please exit the drive-thru. I'm begging you. Kind of a thing. So yeah, feelings and sensations are different. And this person also, I don't think that this is the kind of person though, where if you like checked them on it, they would demonize you or anything. Like, oh, you're invalidating me. They might on the inside though, but that's the tricky thing with this person is they know enough spiritual terminology. They conceptually know enough to say out loud and to themselves, well, no, that's wrong. So I don't believe that. I know that that's wrong. So they'll kind of cut it off there just because and so in a way their intellect kind of becomes an obstacle rather than a help. The things that this person knows, the concepts that this person knows, they think that it excuses them from the mess, and it just kind of doesn't. So this person will have struggles that make them feel withdrawn from you, and this person's so used to relying on themselves too, and actually they made quite a bit of progress. This is another thing. This is like the challenge of the gifted student. The challenge of the gifted student, because they really have made so much progress. They genuinely have. So they've gotten results from like being a certain way, from being independent, from being withdrawn, from I don't rely on other people just confuse me, or they are several steps behind me. And so when I'm trying to process it, like they're trying to be helpful. Like this person doesn't hate other people or anything. Like they understand that it comes from a good place. They're trying to be helpful, but actually like I've already thought that. I've already gone over that several times in my mind. The problem I can see is over here, and I need to just have quiet so that I can kind of think about it. But actually this person would benefit from letting more people in and observing, like calming their energy down, being less mental about it, literally just living like this, kind of just like a floating like bobble, and just notice the people around them. these blue, like I feel kind of blue collar energy, you know, like notice these kind of regular, everyday, normal motherfuckers, you know, and just see how they live their life and the grace with which they do it and how they don't have an ego chip on their shoulder in a certain way that they do. And that's going to teach them something. And then that's going to, it's so what I'm saying is it's ironic that the thing this person needs will come from other people, and it will not be an intellectual philosophical statement, but this person is looking for that. That's the only thing they recognize as spiritual at this point, because they're kind of like very gifted and they've learned from masters is kind of what I'm getting. People who will explain things, and that's been a genuine part of their journey, and they were supposed to be there, and they have a gift for it. And it's almost like Spirit knew this person's mind couldn't calm down unless they had that, unless they had certain like answers and a certain philosophical, intelligent component. But there's the lessons of K2. There's the lessons of like the body. There's the lessons of just being a meat sack in this meat world that this person needs to experience. And that unlocks other answers. It's a language. I just heard it's a language barrier. It's a language barrier. This person may have an interest in languages because they're meant to understand that, but it's because they don't understand the language. They're going to realize, oh God, I don't understand the language that these people are speaking, because they don't speak intelligentsia and they don't speak philosophy, but they're smart and they're smarter than me and they have the answers that I seek, but it's not in a direct way. And this person's on like the next part of their journey because they have to learn how to observe. And to understand that words and concepts and stuff, they're not matchy-matchy, that you can absorb things from the world. You can absorb things from your environment. And it's the comfort that this person seeks. But a lot of them are trying to avoid it. And they're like, well, no, I'd rather just be on my spiritual journey. This is your spiritual journey. And the answers and the relief that you seek only is there. Only is there. Mama Heat again, thank you. Can we get one more bobble? Oh, this... Dancing Meat Sacks, which is our joined autobiography, all of us. Dancing Meat Sacks, or at least it's a chapter in our shared autobiography. Maybe that's what they call the earth realm. Okay, so yeah, this is a really cool person. They have kind of a devil over their shoulder, and it's all like mental. And this person feels like something here is like an authority to them, but they don't realize it is an authority, and it's also your teacher, because all they can focus on is that they don't like that they're restricted in some kind of way. But life is about restriction. Everything tries to restrict you. I'm not saying it's right, wrong, or indifferent. I genuinely hope that we can get to a utopia where everybody's free. But again, there's freedom philosophy is complete unless it has that spiritual component where you learn how to be free in any environment. And this person, it's like, how will you be perfected if you are irritated by every rub, kind of a thing. Yeah, there's some type of judgment as well. There is like a past situation that's coming through. It was frivolous. Or maybe an affair situation. Oh. I feel like when this person was in the world before, it feels like, I don't know, in this lifetime, before they were spiritual, or there's some reference to they were highly distracted. You know, it was like when they were in society. Okay, so I think this is like before they went on whatever their spiritual journey was and they were like isolated. They were genuinely titillated is like the word that I want to use in like this past life. And so a part of them thinks that like all the material world has to offer is this like titillation, you know, because it seems like they kept things on the surface. And so Spirit had to pull them away from that in order to introduce them to a depth. And they needed that. Like they genuinely needed that. But now like this, so now that this person has this depth, they can re-enter the world and receive what it has to offer in terms of like spiritual lessons and not get distracted by this person. I think also like it's giving like player, like I think this is in another lifetime, like where it's just very frivolous energy, charismatic, just kind of like conversations with people, like la 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 la, like sleeping with people, highly distracted, and they were very into that, but they needed to break the obsession with the material world. And now they're circling back, but like a part of them remembers like I had to get away from that and it didn't have anything to offer me or something. Yeah. There was like a functioning dysfunction, and Spirit's like, yep. And guess what? We're breaking. This is it. We gotta go back in, you know, in Frozen with, little Olaf, and like they get up to Anna's like ice castle and she's like getting ready to knock and he's like, knock. Just knock. Why isn't she knocking? You know, I feel like that's this person, like where it's like, you're ready to re-enter the world and like actually to learn the lessons it has to offer. And it's like, why aren't you going in? They feel like it's a moral choice. They feel like aligning with this is a moral choice. It's funny. They demonize the world in some way. This person has, and they needed to, right? The way in which this person was interacting with the flesh before was the wrong thing, not the flesh itself, not the meat space itself. This is a school. We are restricted. We get old and die. We get sick. You know, other people are here and sometimes they smell bad and they're, mean to us. So all of that teaches us things because we know ourselves to be God on the other side, right? And this person hasn't understood that it's the way that they were interacting with the material world, not the material world itself. Because they're like, I have to restrict myself and recluse myself off from the material world. And it's like, you are just be in the world, but not of it. But the first part of that, sir or madam, is that you have to be in the world. You have to be in the world, but not of it. You should just stay on the other side. If you feel like it's dirty to be here of the world, there's some kind of subconscious belief, like then just stay on the other side. Just be a spirit forever. We come to the earth school because it's a teacher and it has something to teach you, and you need to honor and respect that. And not be like afraid of it, but also understand that there's a way in which, just like any tool, which the earth school is and meat space is, and people who are, the relationships that we have that are sexual and of the body, any tool is neutral. You can use it for good. You can use it for destruction. You can use it well, and you can use it poorly. And this person was using it poorly and creating bad karmas and therefore not getting anywhere and being confused and being overtaken by the world. They exited it, and now because they have a better toolkit and they're able to get something else. So they're not the same person. I'm also hearing with Pocahontas, she's like, what I love most about rivers is you can't step in the same river twice. Remember I told you I saw this person floating through the river, and the water's always changing, always flowing. So it's like this person was like, get out of the river, like at the stop. But then like when you get back in the river, it's going to be entirely different. You think you know the river, you don't. And that's what life is. And I'm getting like from the Hindus, like from the Vedas, like Krishna always plays his flute. And then like at the end of like astrological ages, everything kind of switches up. And like now it's what you thought it was. Now it's not that way. Life works an entirely different way. Culture works an entirely different way. There's an entirely different set of circumstances. What you thought you knew as life, it's not the same. And that's why we can keep coming here and keep learning. And this person just, I don't know. They need to sort of accept that. And also I feel like there's some type with the medallion is some type of family energy. Like this person, there could be like a lot of stability and prestige that comes to their family if they accept that this is their path and that this is what they need to be doing, and that they need to be humble enough to do it. And they need to address their ego. Like when it's fighting against this or something, there's like, they can get the medallion. They can get like, this feels like a family heirloom, or create that, or like spirit has like, there's good karmas to come in like through this. So yeah. Okay. I think that's the end of that. Oh, nice. Yes. Jess is so sage today. Oh, thanks. I feel like maybe I'm channeling your person, because this person in pile number 3 is very sage-like. They have a lot of untapped wisdom. Okay, so that's that, I guess. And we can move on. Oh, listen to the song My Medallion by Prince is just what Free Queen C said. Oh, I just got your name. Free Queen C. That's funny. Okay. Sorry, I can be a bit slow sometimes. Okay. Dang, I feel like this hasn't been as long of a reading as I thought. I was kind of like, wow, you've been speaking forever, but I talk for a long time. That's just what I do.
Pile 1 was pretty long.
Usually it is. Pile number 1 is usually the longest reading by a long shot. I've noticed that. Really?
I mean, more frequently, but it's not as, I don't think it's as dramatic. Like, if I were to pull the stats, I don't think it'd be as dramatic as you think it is.
Wow. Okay, so let us get a general message. Okay. Spirit. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I grabbed this card. Like, this is I don't know what you would call it, the like it's like a values deck or something. And I grabbed it because I wanted that. And Spirit was like, I told you not to grab that deck. I told you to grab the other deck, and you're so stubborn. And like, you asked me for a message and like you grabbed the wrong card deck. So I don't know if that's like a metaphor for somebody, because I was like, no, I'm trying to force something here in the right direction. And Spirit's like, I know what I'm doing. And you asked me for my opinion. And then I give you the information that you asked for and that you seem to understand, that me being Spirit, not me, Jess, but like that me being Spirit, I know more than you. And then you complain whenever I give you the information. Because I'm like, no, it needs to be, I don't want to go to this deck. I want to go to this. Like, we should talk about values. We should talk about like this. We should talk about that. And it's like, do you recognize that I'm Spirit and you're like a tiny human, or do you not recognize that? When you ask me for information, do you not recognize that I know more things than you and that this is what you need to hear, or do you not? Like, you know, so there's something here where Spirit's like, don't ask me for information. And then when I tell you like what is the thing you need, or like the thing to do, like completely do something different because you just feel like that's the thing that like you want to do. So, okay, I grabbed this deck. So, okay, Spirit, what do you want to say? What do you want to say? I saw the word surrender in my mind, but it's like on a very dark kind of card. Okay, what do you want to say? Okay, space and holding back just came out. Hope is at the bottom of the deck. Broken. I feel shattered about this situation. So I can't remember all those cards that I just said that I saw, but okay, so space. I need space, right? Like, and hold back. I feel like Spirit saying take some space and kind of hold back because you feel broken about a certain situation. I feel like you're processing and it's okay. So give yourself time, like the space and like the time to process a certain situation that you're feeling broken about, and try not to judge it. Like, I think some of you, whatever this is, you're feeling like you need to quickly get out of this, or that it means something about you if you can't like quickly get over it. And sometimes the things that we feel broken about, it's like it's more than what it seems on the surface, like because you're processing emotions or like deep patterns or like something that it's more than what it seems on the surface. And so the reason you can't let go, I think some of you are judging like why you can't let go. By the way, I just want to say, if this has to do with like a love situation, and if this has to do with our community, like it does bother me too. And it's something that personally I want to get better about, because people in the comments do get a little much about, oh my God, this is like from the past. Oh my God, this is that. And it makes you feel like you need to judge yourself, and that you're not getting over it fast enough, and that you're the cause of these people's pain, and that everybody's frustrated with you. And they're not. That's just the way that I feel. Maybe that's exacerbated like here in this community. And I do wish that this was more of like a safe space for everybody to be exactly where it is that they are, and to move along if it's not. I have a mission, and I do feel like I'm kind of a shadow reader, and I'm meant to walk people up and down the river Styx. And sometimes people are going to get out of that river, and they have to, you know, be able to kind of move on from that. And I just, if you're internalizing that, or you're feeling like, I feel like it's actually a very vocal minority that is kind of saying those things. And some of those people are in denial about, they're not actually as over a situation as they are. But they feel it's like maybe an ego thing for them, that it means something that they're not moving on, but that's just their way of dealing with it. And you take it much more personally, you know, where you feel like, my God, what is wrong with me that I can't get over this situation? And you feel like you have to hurry up and like be very quick about it, or like take some kind of like quick action. But if you do, you're going to hurt yourself, because what you're processing here, it's like so much deeper than this situation, whatever this situation is. It's like, it's something from your subconscious is what I'm hearing. It's like some kind of subconscious emotional pattern where you feel a certain way. You feel not good enough. You feel neglected. And I feel like that's even playing out now, where you're like, what's wrong with me? Like, why am I not healing fast enough? Like, everybody's like moving on and they're moving on so fast. And it's like just me that's like holding everybody back, and everybody's yelling at me, and everybody's like, and I'm so sorry. I'm trying. Like, you know, that's like kind of the thing. And like, just like push it back. We're right here, baby. We are right here. I am totally fine being with you exactly where you're at. If people are not here, they can go where they need to go. Maybe it's time for them to just, you know, be alone for a while, but you are not a burden. You are not bothering anybody. You are having your full human experience. It is absolutely okay. And I feel like there's something here where it's like panicky, and the anxiety of like, I don't know what to do. Like, you know, because there's something here where it's like, what do I do about this situation? Or like, I feel like I don't know what to do, and I'm trying to process so that I know what to do, but I'm not moving fast enough. So I guess I got to just pick. Don't. Okay. Don't do that. Just take a deep breath, because there's something else like going on beneath the surface. And you'll notice that like in my readings, and other readers read this way too. And there's other, like people, places, books, situations that you are drawn to at this time, where this situation, your exploration of this situation, that on the surface, again, you're in the earth school. So it seems surface and it seems 3D, right? You're in a relationship that you don't understand. It makes you feel a certain way. You've in a dynamic you don't understand. It makes you feel a certain way. And this is your path, and it is an opening. Okay. But a lot of people focus on the opening, on the 3D situation, instead of the spiritual lessons that are being taught, the healing, some scars that are being released. You are going through a spiritual process. It is a deep process. It is going to take time. And there's a space for you in the world. Nothing is wrong with you for having a human experience and for like doing it your way. And I just feel there's like a pressure thing. And like, I just heard, thank you. Like there's like wanting to cry. And I just saw you, like, you're able to kind of like turn things off at the soffit here, like faucet, the soffit, here, like at your eyes. It's okay. And I think this is a group that maybe feels a burden. Like you always feel a burden. You're not a burden. Like all of us are here, and like we're mixed together, and you make the group better by being yourself. You're here for a reason, like to be your actual self. And even though people can't see it, and again, maybe these are like the pile number 3 people where they're like, they're gifted, they're used to moving through things so fast. Well, why are they here? Like they're here for some type of spiritual reason. And like somehow maybe your soul is helping them to slow down for themselves too. Janae, oh, what a blessing you are. Thank you, Janae. But yeah, like don't judge yourself by like, everybody learns differently. Remember in school where it was like, are you a visual learner? Are you an auditory learner? Are you like the person who has to like get your hands on? Everybody learns differently, and everybody learns at their same space. And frankly, people who are not willing to allow other people to learn in the classroom of life don't deserve to be in the classroom. They're the ones that need to go sit outside. You have to play nice with the other kids, and you have to understand that there are other people besides you in order for this to be allowed to go on, because that's the disruptive energy that's kind of like around. Third party, yeah. Look at this like energy where it's like all like, there were other things that got in the way of us being together. That's the thing that you can't get past. There are other things in the way of us not being together. And I feel like this with you, and it's hard for you to really, I think that's maybe the thing here. Now take this if it's a different message, but for a lot of you, I think this is connected to what I just said. There were other things that got in the way of us being together. And it really weighs on your mind, because there's somebody here where you're like, you were perfect for me. We were perfect together, but there are other things in the way of us being together. And I think those things are like the karma. They're the obstacles, and it's like for you or for them. And so it weighs on your mind of like, what if, or like what could be. Look, reminiscing. I miss our inside jokes, and you feel broken by the situation. And it's hard to let go of something that is, I just heard, is supposed to be forever. Yeah. You feel like, yeah, it's hard to let go of something that was supposed to be forever, holding back. I should have expressed myself better. Yeah, you're feeling like I should have expressed myself better. And I feel like you are holding back, possibly about a third party. You could have been really in your head about whatever these things were. So it could be a third party, an actual person, or it could be like a variable that like got in the way, and you feel like you should have expressed better. And then maybe you had somebody here like in their mind, or I think this speaks to like self-forgiveness. Like, how do I let go? Okay, how do I let go? Feels like it's in harmony with how do I have self-forgiveness? Oh, I learned something the other day too. The same way that those things are, okay, so I watched this channel. It's Prof, like professor, like prof with a period, Sam Vaknin, and he's like a narcissistic researcher. And he was explaining the relationship of like narcissists to shame, because they view people like with contempt, people especially who like are able to embody things that like they're not able to embody. But in that lecture, he was saying something like shame, about how narcissists really don't feel shame like very consciously, which is odd because they have like, it's a disorder of shame, but they can't feel shame, which is unfortunate. They can never change. They can never like actually grow because they can't feel that shame. Because shame, he said, shame and personal responsibility are intimately linked. When we feel shame for something, it means that we were responsible for something, and that's what you're feeling. And so you're learning and how to process through this shame. And that's the way that you kind of are processing and turning things back, of like, you're taking accountability of like, I'm hearing like, I should have expressed myself better. So, I just heard like the weight of things gone unsaid. or like maybe you were trying to express yourself, but it was confusing to this person. Understanding, I see your side of the story. So the first part of this is understanding the other person's viewpoint and the other person's perspective. I think that you're understanding that you weren't clear. And this is like the first part of you kind of like processing through this. Fire Toad, I'm crying. Fire Toad, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you. I've been stuck for a month. I don't know how to work through heartbreak. It all feels wrong, but maybe that's because this just sucks. Yeah. Well, also I feel like this is a group, it's giving, like for some of you, I think it is actually giving gifted. Even if you don't feel emotionally gifted or like spiritually gifted, I think that you have the experience of being gifted and things moving much faster or moving much more seamlessly in other parts of your life. Then you look in the comment section and you see these people that are like, I don't understand why we're still hearing these messages. And in my mind, everybody's in their own place. And a lot of these people, maybe we're highlighting, maybe this is a part of, I feel like this is a part of unlocking their own self-awareness about the effects that speaking that aloud into the public space like does to people, and kind of taking responsibility of like, that makes people feel a certain way that, instead of just analyzing and saying like, I don't think I'm getting much out of this, or I feel like bothered by it. And so I need to go find another place to be or something, like just for now, so that I'm not hurting other people around me in their own spiritual processing, because it's not all about me kind of a thing. So there's something here like that. But so you're viewing people who I think maybe have had an easier, like they process this faster, or like they process maybe these kinds of things quicker than you. And you're like comparing yourself to them, but you process things quick in other areas of your life. And this is giving you're stuck, or this is hung up, because I think that it's giving like maybe you've built upon, how do I put this? There's something here that you need to dig to uncover. It's something that's been built upon in your life about like the way that you think the world works, or like the way that you thought this situation works. And you have to kind of, it feels like in your mind, you've built upon it. And then, so the first part of healing is you seeing the other side of this person's story. And being like, oh my gosh, I can totally see the way that you were viewing me in that situation, or how I must have come off, or how I must have seemed to you, and how I was confusing to you. I thought that I was being clear, but actually when I think about what I said, and when I think about the context of everything, I can understand how you thought I meant this, or you thought I meant that. That's a part of the processing here. And then that brings up shame, which is access to personal responsibility. And all this feels really bad, but it's very helpful. You're not wrong, and you're moving just fine. And all of this is so big because our emotions and the things that we've done, and whenever we touch upon shame, it's really hard for us to look at, and to process through. And it's because it's cringe. Sometimes you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Or like, what was I thinking? Oh, I was just thinking about these winter boots that I had. They were horribly ugly. And also like the bottoms were like, I fell on my ass like twice, really hard too. Like in front of everyone in my town. Cause I was like walking down like a main street, and I was like, what was I ever thinking? Cause I paid a lot for those boots and I was really excited to get them. And I was like, what was I thinking? Like, I feel like for a lot of you, like those, like this is an experience about like those boots where you're like, what was I thinking? They weren't even functional. Like it would be one thing, like I got them from a really good company and stuff too. So it could be something you're like that, where you're like, I thought I was doing all the right things. I thought that this like ticked all the right, boxes. And then I fell on my ass twice really hard in front of everyone. And so you're processing through the shame, and that's just, it's going to take time. And I feel like this has to do with self-love and self-forgiveness. And even if you feel like that pressure, and I think this goes to a deeper pattern of you feel like you're a burden, or you feel like you're not doing things right, but there's no right way to heal, and there's no right way to learn, it's just, you learn the way that you do at the pace that you do. And I think this is a good time for you to also practice, like just carving out a little space. Okay. They're moving fast. These are the people that are like done with, like when you're taking a test and it's like those two people you're like halfway through the test, and like those two people are done and they turn their test in. Spirit just said sometimes somebody turned their test in early because they didn't study, and they actually only answered 3 questions on the test. They knew they were going to fail anyways. And so they just like turned it in. You don't know why somebody got up earlier than you. Stop comparing yourself to other people, So yeah. So I think maybe you've been holding back too. Like even in your processing, because yeah, in a weird way, it feels like it's restricting. You're not actually going as deep or as internal because you feel like the group wants to move on, or the group is moving on. We are here. Spirit is saying we are here. We are fine. And you are important. I feel like that's what you need to hear. You are important. some people need to learn that, they have an effect on people and it makes people feel not important, or not seen, or like that there's no space when they don't just do the things that they need to do for themselves. And instead they're kind of announcing into the public space that kind of makes people feel a certain way. It has an effect on others. And I'm kind of getting for some of these people are speed demons. Okay. They're quick and they're kind of moving on. Others of these people aren't as fast as they think they are. And they're not as empathetic as they think they are. And they're not as aware of other people as they think they are. And this is a way that Spirit's kind of shining the light on that of you haven't really considered other people. And maybe in the situation that you're processing, you need to consider that you didn't consider other people as much as you could have. And you actually need to look again and see things from their side of the story. There's more here for you to uncover. And you are actually further along than those people, but they don't realize it. It's one of those two things. Sorry if this is harsh, but I do feel like somehow Spirit is like, I think you're supposed to understand this. Spirit's like using you also to wake these other people up. And it's like, you're not actually doing the work like that you think you're doing, and it actually shows in like something else. Okay. What else, Spirit? Regret and mend. Okay. So like you have regret. I wish this never happened. Mend. I want to fix this connection. You want to fix it. Okay. Yeah. Wanting to fix it is not the same as fixing it. And okay, so I feel like a lot of you you're really bound up in wanting to fix it. Like your heart just yearns to fix it. You don't like the way that you made this person feel. Congratulations. You're not a narcissist. You're not a sociopath. Way to go. Okay. But the shitty part of that is like you feel weighted down by your regret. And I actually think you are wrapped up in the feeling of regret. And that's what you're focused on. Like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I made this. And you just want to feel it that the way to mend this connection is to like go inside your head. And I think maybe it's about this third party. So for some of you, I don't know who this third party is. Okay. It could be somebody that you were involved with in a romantic way, a sexual way. It might even be platonic. There was somebody else involved in this connection. You need to assess and analyze this third party. Why were you with this person? Because I think you're like, why was I doing that? And it's like, you have to calm down and you have to ask yourself specific, like go inside yourself, understand yourself. This is the first part of like forgiveness and like mending the connection. You are mending it. This is how you mend it, is to like go inside and to like think about these things and not, oh my gosh, my knees, not like, you can't just jump to the end. So like there's something where we have to calm down, have self-forgiveness. Everybody makes mistakes. Okay. You are not the worst thing to walk the earth because you made a mistake. Calm down, actually analyze it. You have to like make it specific is kind of what I'm getting. Instead of, I really bungled this. Like, oh my God, why did I get those boots and then fall on my ass twice? Super hard. It's like, no. Okay, let's go specifics. Let's pull it apart. Why was I with this particular third party? Because I think whoever was interfering, or if you were involved with someone else, I don't think they were a great person. And I think that you were kind of muddled or you were confused. Why? What need were you trying to get met in this like kind of roundabout way? When we can identify the need, we can identify a different way of going about doing it. And this is the apology. Okay, this is the way that you fix it, is like by having a better understanding of your needs and the way that they were unconsciously expressing. And that's what makes you not a bad person. Okay, so like you had unconscious needs. This isn't a need for sex, by the way. You had if you were like fucking around with somebody else, this is not that. You had a need for attention, a need to be respected, a need to be admired. You did not know how to go about meeting that need in another way. And so you acted out in the only way that you knew how. And you had to get your need met. It's a need, right? And yeah, love and belonging needs, like those are needs. They're higher order needs, but they are still needs. So give yourself forgiveness. Like you are a human, your humanity, see your own humanity. I feel like people haven't seen your humanity. Like you always feel like you're wrong, or you always feel like a burden and you don't want to take up too much space and you don't want to take up too much time. And some of you just like shut down. You never really get what you need. This somehow comes around to needs and how you get your needs met. You shut down because you just put your needs on a back pedestal, like a back burner compared to like everybody else's needs. Maybe you were responding to somebody else's needs, like in this third party. Yeah, reciprocity. I want to have equal give and take. You wanted to have equal give and take, and that's why you were with this third party, ? Because you thought something about this third party was equal give and take, but actually you were not giving equal give and take to this other person. You see it all so clear now. And it's so painful to look at. And it's hard to make any progress if it's hard to look at. And I feel like, I feel you. Gossip. I'm afraid of what other people will think. I feel like I think you gossiped because you were afraid of what other people will think maybe you gossiped with a third party. You were afraid of what other people would think if you said your heart, if you spoke your heart. This is an issue of self-love, I feel. Because, and just saying, I have needs, or I think differently. Yeah, because I just feel like you always are thinking about other people. You think about yourself through the lens of other people actually a lot. That might surprise this other person because I think maybe some of you came off selfish or like narcissistic. But you always think about other people. So, and the way, you view yourself through a mirror, like through a filter, the filter of like other people. So other people will say, you're moving too slow. And you're like, oh my God, I am. Instead of like, maybe you're moving too fast. You know, like it's all relative. See how like it's all relative? We're all just moving. How about we're all just moving the way that we need to? Why don't you focus on you? You know? And if you're going to focus on me, then learn patience, like learn how to hold space for somebody else and for it not to be all about you. That seems like the lesson that you seem to be learning, and that's like missing you. Like learn to see other people. Like, cause I think a lot of you do focus a lot on yourself and like what it is that you're contributing, to the point where you always feel on you're always like yanked around by the leash of other people's perceptions or other people's speed or other people's emotions, you know, because you're afraid of what other people would think. So you have to learn how to stand up for yourself, or just how to stand strong, or how to be weird or different and be like, oh my gosh. I was a marketing student of the year in my senior class, but that's neither here nor there. So we did this thing where we got passed out these like different cups of food. We were blindfolded. One of them was like the main name brand, and the other one was the store brand. And I shit you not, when my Midwestern ass ate, well, they were all Midwestern too, but when I was like eating the Fruit Loops, so we had to raise our hand which one we liked better, and then we had to like open our eyes. I chose the shit one every single time, and I was the only one. And so everybody would like, okay, open your eyes. And I'm like the only one that was like, that shit was good. Like, you know, so that was embarrassing, but that was what I genuinely felt. I genuinely liked the generic Fruit Loops better than the name brand Fruit Loops. And I was the only one, and it was embarrassing, but I wasn't going to change my answer. Okay. Just because I was the only one. And I feel like that's the kind of stuff you need, of just like, I like these trash ass Fruit Loops. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. I will have, yes, please, more, you know? Little things like that. And what you will learn is this is actually going to be a wonderful, wonderful gift. The people who hate you for just being yourself and having your own opinion, or even holding the group to a higher standard, those people can leave your life. Bye-bye, you know? And actually people, I don't know about you, but like you kind of know when somebody's a people pleaser and they're just always kind of contorting themselves to try to fit other people. I was that way for a long time. And what I've learned is that a lot of times when you just say, you're kind of, I don't know, I feel like you guys kind of know this about me because you've been with me like when I've learned to speak up more, but it's like a lot of times people appreciate somebody who has a strong opinion or who just has a strong personality. It's like, I know who I am, and I'm, you know, and therefore I'm interesting, or I add something to the group. Like it doesn't always have to be that you ostracize people, but I think that you have seen somebody like this ostracized, and maybe that was this person and you participated in their ostracizing. And, so you know that people like this get picked on, but that's just the group that you were in, or the kind of energy that you're around. And when you start to heal, you'll be around different kinds of people that actually appreciate it, and that don't want to be around people who have all the same thoughts and all the same opinions and have to circle jerk each other off in order to be in relationships, in order to be seen, and in order to be accepted. And a lot of times, like you see me, like I'll fire off at the mouth, and then somebody in the comment section will be like, that's exactly what I wanted to say, or that's exactly how I feel about the situation. Because the fact of the matter is, human emotions and our lives they're not always like prim and proper. Sometimes you genuinely think someone's an asshole, and it's nice when somebody says it in exactly the way, in exactly the tone that you mean it. And it's even nicer when you can say it yourself. Also, for some of you, I'm hearing financial independence. Some of you think this is an emotional issue and it's a financial issue. If you had more money, then it's not, you don't need fuck you money. I heard like fuck you money. No, just like if you have financial independence, like an emergency fund even, then it'll give you more freedom. So it's not, for some of you, it's like you don't need as much therapy as you think, and you don't need as much emotional stuff. You need an emergency fund, just a little bit more money to fall back on. Because some of you feel like you are reliant on the group, or that you have to people please because resources are an issue. And yeah. So see how this is getting into like the nitty gritty, and it actually might, for some of you, end up like, oh, I need to actually, if I'm going to be able to be the person that I am in the world, actually, I need to focus on having an emergency fund. That's like the first thing. Like, see how that's like different, and that how that might take you some time to kind of process through and come to that conclusion, the actual root of the problem, so that you can fix it and actually move forward. Some of these people think that, I just heard some of these people that you see moving on in the audience, they are bored, and they think that being bored is being done with a spiritual lesson. They actually have a long way to go, because it's not at all. They're definitely not done. They're just bored. Their mind just shut off. And that's not the same thing as being done. Also, soul contract just came out with a third party. You have a soul contract with this third party in order to put you in this state of like confusion like this. You needed to see them for what they are and overcome them to get in touch with your destiny and like your freedom here. I'm struggling to find my right path. Chemistry. I've never felt a passion this intense. And ego. I let my pride get in the way of our connection. So you felt strong chemistry with a person, but maybe the group didn't like them. And honestly, it just feels like jealousy. The group actually really likes and really admires them. They just aren't them. They can't be with them, or they can't be with them, or they can't be with them, or they can't be them, or they can't be with them. They can't trap them. They can't control them, and maybe this person gets attention and they wish that they could get attention. So they have to paint this person in a negative light to try to make it negative attention so that they can seem better. Maybe that's what this third party did. You're recognizing now it's childish games, you want forgiveness. Yeah. And we're back to this like desperate need for forgiveness. So your soul's crying out for forgiveness. And there's other names for that too. It's crying out for healing. It's crying out for all that stuff. This is a call to self-awareness and just figuring out how you work. So just to recap, figuring out what your needs are. There were needs that you were trying to meet. And I think it's needs of like love and acceptance, but you became a people pleaser to like a bully or a group of bullies. And you have to realize, how can you balance that out? How can you find love and acceptance and also not have to suck up to bullies and be a part of the bullying yourself? How can you stand up and say how you feel and go after what you want, and be in the world like that, and also have love and acceptance? Some of you have to trust the process, that this is going to have to fall away. And that also, I really get that you were the domino that was going to switch this over. Because like this group that was talking mad shit, if you are like, no, I'm going to go over there with that person, they're embarrassed because they assume that you're going to go tell that person that they were talking about them, and you should. And that puts it back on their plate. They're having that mirrored back to them, what it feels like to be kind of gossiped about. And you're worried that but they're trying to convince you. I feel like because they know you have a connection with this other person and that you're kind of more like this other person, they're trying to convince you because they want you to stay. I feel like you're looked at highly in this group of people, but you don't know necessarily how to read that. And you have more power. It's just like, take your power back and throw your weight around a little bit. And also, you shouldn't worry, like, this is easier said than done, but don't worry about what people like this think about you. Think about people that you admire and find strong, and like worry about what those people think about you. Try to shadow side. This situation made you recognize your shadow side. And I feel like it's really people pleasy. Yeah, disagreement. So then you end up having disagreements with the wrong souls, the souls that you actually agree with and should be with. And then when you should be actually having disagreements with these people that you try to people please. And these are people, I feel like you're trapped into a cycle. And I think I said this in one of the other piles where you've got one person here. So this is like mirrored energy. To know who these people are, they get confronted with the opposite energy, and somehow you're trapped in between. And you're meant to kind of compare. One of these people has its strength card. They have inner strength, and they can stand up for themselves and go their own way. And they don't need other people to big up them. And they would never seek out other people for like their own validation, because they understand that that is bullying and that is domination and it's pressure, and they don't want to be a part of that. So you got one soul here like that. Then you've got another soul, and it feels like a group of souls that really need the group to validate them because they're not right. The truth is not on their side, and they don't want to have to confront that the truth is not on their side and that they need to do inner work and it's wrong for them to do the things that they don't want to confront that. So they'll pull on other people. Maybe they pulled on you in order to be on their side. And it's like, now it's a blockade against this person who's like very strong in their energy. I think you recognize that. But also these people will have to go to a group, I think, where it's more of a group of these people that are all strong on their own. And this group might have a similar opinion to each other, but they're not group think, they're not group mind, and they can all kind of So I think they'll at some point have a disagreement here, and they will then be trying to pull on the group, trying to, maybe this is what you did, trying to appeal to people that they think feel the same way that they do, hurt and like a wounded bird, but they're not actually bullied and they were not actually wounded. They were just spoken to like they're an adult, and I feel like this person would interject their opinion into a space, be incorrect. This is somebody who like doesn't understand the First Amendment in like America. You have free speech, but also free speech is not hate speech, and you're free to say whatever you want, but it doesn't mean that people have to agree with you, and it doesn't mean that you don't get any pushback. But when this person gets pushback, when they so like confidently interject their opinion and people are like, we don't agree with that, or they'll like ask or they'll hold this person accountable, they're like, I got bullied in that group, when actually they're the bully. And they might even find a person that does agree with them in that group, but then they'll be like, yeah, we ride or die. Like, let's, rail against these people. And the person who agreed with them would be like, why? Because they're that strong inner person. They're like, why? They think what they think. We think what we think. We don't have to have a war about it. You don't need validation of the group. Like, huh? Because that's what these souls are meant to learn. There's some type of mirroring here. And maybe you were on this side, but you're called to be on the other side. And it takes courage and it takes reflection. And it takes reflection, and all of this is new to you, and it feels uncomfortable because of the guilt that you have to like kind of go through. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of effort, unsatisfied and regret. Yeah, you feel like you ran. You weren't happy the way that things were going, something here about time, but you always feel connected to this person. Yeah, you always feel connected with this person. So it's very confusing for you, and it's because this goes very, very deep. This goes very, very deep. You're not processing superficial, and you really care, and you have a big heart. And that's why this like matters a lot to you, and you're processing through it, and just give yourself a little time. And so all of this discomfort that you're confronted with, these are your spiritual teachers. These are your spiritual lessons. And some of you are so wrapped up in the discomfort that you can't call them all by name. And I have kind of called them by name, right? So, you can like re-listen to this, right? But it's like you feel, it's just this general sense of like regret, like, oh my gosh, I have to fix this. But then now you're in this group, you're kind of processing it. And it's like, you feel like you aren't moving on fast enough. Like these are all very specific things. It's not this general feeling of like, oh no, like, and I just need to fix it. There's in this feeling of discomfort, there's more specific things. So it's about making this specific, and it's going through each one of these things, and each one of these things is hard to look at. I'm kind of getting like, I just heard, don't trust these people that said that they're moving on. They are bored. And I just heard they have the attention span of a fly. They're bored, and they think that's the same thing as mastery, or that I've learned everything that I need to learn here. When I think these are people that are more, I think they also might not have a high tolerance for, like self-reflection, especially when they're in the wrong. It makes them feel too uncomfortable, so they really won't actually dip into it. But you are, and then you're comparing yourself, and you think that they're fast. There are legitimately people who are fast here, but those people also have moved on. So, yeah. You're learning a lot of things. You're learning how to be patient with yourself. You're learning how to tell people to get off your back. You're learning how to say like, well, I guess I'm different, and I need this, and I'm not going to feel bad that I need this because I'm a person too, and I'm not a burden. Just because I'm also trying to learn my lessons, and I'm sorry that I need like this extra help, or I'm sorry that I need this extra time. But like, it's just about like speaking up and asking for what you need, and like being separate from the group in a way that maybe makes you feel uncomfortable. That's kind of a part of your spiritual lesson. And I feel like it's just been flared up in a very emotional way. And you always feel like you're the problem. That's another thing with this group. You always feel like you're the problem. And I think like when you go against the crowd, you always think that you're the wrong, or like you're the problem. So you saw like this person you wish you would have supported, and is like your soulmate. They showed you this kind of strength. This person stood against the group, and they were correct. Don't forget that. They were correct, not only in their appraisal of reality and what was going on in the situation, but they were correct morally to do that. And that should change you. And that should change the way that you're kind of looking at this. But it's like you don't trust yourself. And that's what this is kind of like about. So, all right. This is talking to my ex if he wasn't a narcissist, but I wouldn't really know. Yes. So I think that's all I have here. We've been talking for a while. I was like, I guess, determined that this needed to go to 1:00. But yeah, that's what I have. Love yourself through this, even though you were in the wrong. Even though you're in the wrong, we're all in the wrong sometimes. And I think you're taking on a lot of responsibility where I think you were around genuine bullies and those people aren't taking any responsibility. So it's not all on you. Like, yeah, you shouldn't have followed them, but also I really don't think that you agreed with them. Like to begin with, I think that you had a correct appraisal of reality and you just didn't trust it. You just didn't stick with it and you didn't like kind of fight for it. You didn't kind of stand up for it. That's where your issue is. You're like leaps and bounds actually ahead of these other people and they actually knew the truth as well. It's a manipulation. I think that's the other thing is you can see that it was intentional for some of these people. It was intentional to get you and other people to bully. And then they kind of wrap you in your own guilt and that keeps you karmically bound. So working through the guilt of this as well. And by the way, tarot isn't the only tool that you have available. This is definitely, especially if you feel overwhelming guilt, like working with a therapist or something could help as well. So anyways, that's what I have for you guys. Okay. Going to the candles. Sorry that this took forever for those of you that were waiting for candle stuff. Okay, so it is fall season. It's officially candle season. Fall and winter is like candle time. So, it might be something that, well, we haven't launched our like Christmas candles yet, which is one thing, but it's good to think about what? That'll be coming soon though. Okay, so think about cozy season, but okay, I'm going to show you the special edition candle first. And actually these have kind of been selling. We launched this on Patreon and we sold a lot more than we thought we were going to on Patreon. When these are out, they're out because I really wanted these last year. The company that we get them from, they only make a certain amount and you can only get however much you can get. So if you guys like these, then we'll get more for next year. But when we run out, we run out. We can't order any more of these jars this year, but they're so super cute. So we have these pumpkin containers for the fall. And they're so cute. And it's inside pumpkin caramel cookie. And it smells so good and so homey and so warm. If you like Mama's House, which is that other kind of warm baked cookie, kind of homey scent, this is like that, but it's kind of the fall version. It has all those flavors that you want it to hit, like the pumpkin and the caramel and the smooth and the warm and the... yes. And I think I haven't talked to Alex about this, but like if we do sell out of these, I think we can maybe make this scent in like the regular jars that we sell too, because this, to me, this is like the scent of the fall for me. Like in this winter, this is the one that I like the best. But yeah, so this is what it is. So we are bringing back our classics. We've got pumpkin chai is exactly what it says on the tin, and it smells like pumpkin chai. It smells pumpkiny. It smells like chai. It smells kind of that liquidy, like of a beverage, kind of thing. Oh, yeah, that's good too. I love fall. I love fall scents. Okay, Mama's House. This is a year-round scent. It's one of our best sellers, and for a very good reason. It's my favorite, like just of the line. It's my mother-in-law's favorite. She always has it burning in her house. And actually the funny thing is, like, we go over there for like family events and stuff, and she'll have it burning in her house. And I'm always like, what is that smell? It smells so good. And then it's the candle. Like, it's the candle that we make. But yeah, this smells like cookie. It smells much different after you smell the pumpkin, the pumpkin caramel though. But yeah, no, this is a good one. It's a classic. And then we have the apple picking. And this is kind of a different kind of scent. It does smell appley, and it smells like if you go to an apple orchard and, it's like that crisp bite in the air, and it just smells kind of appley and like fallen leaves and like that fresh, crisp air. It is that kind of fresh, fall, crispy kind of scent. So that is our fall candle collection. And yeah, just as a reminder, our candles are made, I don't really like labels on the candles, but we have to have the labels on them in order to sell them. But like they're made so that you can take the label off. And so you can just have something in your home that like just looks like this. And this is like our little apothecary jar candles. It looks so classic and so, I like it. And you can reuse these jars. You can like hold things in them and stuff. Yeah. And we use high quality ingredients, 100% soy wax. And usually you'll see candles that say 100% soy wax. And what they mean is that it's not cut with paraffin wax or any other wax. Ours is obviously not cut with those things, but we also get high quality wax in the sense that there are no additives added to the wax to make it smoother and to like kind of, it's just 100% soy wax. We also pay attention to the wicks. We get the best quality, healthiest wicks because a lot of times with candles, they have like metals folded into the wicks, and so then you burn it and then that kind of like gets in the air, so you could focus on everything else and then not have a great healthy wick, and that also, you know, would put off something into your environment. And all of the scents that we use are the cleanest scents that we could find. We do not have to put special labeling on our candles to sell in California for the Prop 65 rules. That's how clean the scents are that we use. So if that's something that's important to you, but you still are a candle girly and you like scents and stuff, then, or a guy, like whatever it is, that's what we have. So thanks for listening to me. Yeah, it's a good one. Apples and fall leaves. We want that one. Yeah. Just bought rapidly. I need that pumpkin. Yo, you really do. It's so cute. And then you know what I'm going to do after, because I have one of these and I've been burning it. When it's so cute. I've seen like these little jars you can put candy corns in them. I'm not really a candy corn kind of fan, but it looks so cute. So even like after you burn this out, it still can be like a really cute Halloween decoration, you know? You could possibly even burn like votive candles in here. Again, another thing that I think you could reuse or put like potpourri in it, like for another season or something. But yeah, if you guys like these, let us know, because they are kind of expensive jars and I didn't want to just like buy a bunch of them, but I have my alarm set to where I can get these. So I'm going to do that next year, and we can just get more if they sell out. So, okay. A candle guy. Yeah. Bye. Good luck on your paper. All right. So I think that's all I have for you guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for, of all the things you could be doing, spending your Friday with me. And for those of you who are on Patreon, we are doing this again tomorrow, the live stream, same time. And the live stream that we are doing is the one that got away or a bullet dodged ? So that's tomorrow on our Patreon live stream for our Patreon people. By the way, thank you so much if you support me on Patreon or if you've gotten personal readings and stuff for me. I genuinely, from the bottom of my soul, love what I do. And also I have grown so much as a person, so much, like just from doing this, and just thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So I'm going to eat some food and I guess I'll see some of you guys tomorrow. Bye.